Conservation Commission meeting Thursday, April 5th, 2018. We are in the Sturbridge Center office building at 301 Main, excuse me, second floor if you'd like to join us. We have a quorum of 3, and we will start off with committee updates. CPA met on Monday. I was unable to attend the meeting, so I'll have to report to at the next meeting on that. Anything on the Trails Committee?
Yes, the Trails Committee decided they will punish you for your absence on the CPA committee on Monday night. Oh, no. They don't meet until next week. They meet.
Okay.
They only meet once a month, and they meet on the second Thursday of every month.
All right.
So they meet next week.
Okay, we've got, you want to start going through things until we get to
Yes.
anything we can
Yep.
sign?
So we can do certificates of compliance
You can have your
first.
space back.
Thank you, Deb.
We have 3. This one is 336 The Trail. This came in, I think back in 2010. He put in, it's a property that's for sale. We actually have a notice of intent on our next agenda for it. This property, he came before you guys to put in a driveway to access the property. Just the lower portion of the driveway is in riverfront and buffer zone. They never closed out their certificate of compliance, which they realized as they're going through this, the sale of the property. So I went out, took a look at it. It just didn't look like it was, it said to be pointed towards the downhill side, but the bottom portion is paved, the rest is not paved. The notice of intent coming in, it's Burton Engineering. I talked to him about it. They're gonna end up paving that, so we can work on that. There was some remnant silt fence out there, but he said he'll take care of that. So we do have the notice of intent on our next agenda, and,
But right now, we're talking about a certificate of compliance only, right?
right, but I just thought that the driveway
Yeah.
probably wasn't graded the right way, but we can have them resolve that with the notice of intent coming forward, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next one I have is 1 Evergreen Lane, which was part of the Sanctuary Subdivision. How you doing? You just sign in over here, if you don't mind. So that's the Sanctuary Subdivision. A small portion of this lot was within the 200-foot buffer zone. The rest of it wasn't even within, but because it was part of the large orders of conditions for the whole subdivision, this is a partial. I went out there and there's no issues for this one, so.
How is it a partial?
Because it was one orders of conditions, I think it was the roadway included
Oh,
on that
okay.
too, so it's just this one lot. It's been coming through, a lot of the lots have been coming through as partials in the past. I think that just.
Okay, parcel, I'm sorry.
And Becky, you do understand that our normal mode of operation has been in the past that we do not give partials unless it's like a subdivision.
Right, or like we've been seeing the DPW roadway one. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Last one is 68 Goodrich Road. That was the project we had, that second-story addition at that dead end where there was that small septic system. They put in the pipe there.
Yep.
They took the pipe out. They let me know about it. I went out there, checked it out. So this is the certificate of compliance to close out the septic system that was done in the years in the past that never got closed out, so.
Good.
Was there a specific project you were here for?
Just a tree removal.
Okay.
Filled out the form, and I don't know anything else.
Yep, was it 19?
No, it's actually my neighbor was, I have on 23. I found out my neighbor was filing one today too. I just got it to put it out today. I haven't even put it anywhere yet.
Oh, okay, so we take those into the office and then we have to put them on our agenda?
Yeah.
And we have to do it that way, so we can't actually do it today.
Okay.
So I can take it, and then if I have any questions, I can call you. We'll come out and do a site visit, and then we'll put it on our next agenda, which will be April 19th. So it's 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, so. Okay, perfect. So I'll get in touch with you and,
Terrible, there's ink on the back.
oh, that's fine.
The printer had an
Terrible
issue.
printer.
Okay.
Don't worry about it, we'll just look at the front.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Do you want me to tell them?
So then, Ed, you weren't there, but we stopped at Rapscallion. I don't have it on the agenda,
Yeah.
because we stopped out there to look at the plan he had for moving
Yep.
everything. So, this is what we have currently. So he's got, you know, some gravel here underneath the trailer, a little bit underneath the tent.
Yeah.
He's got the disc hole, it's way down here in the bottom.
Yep,
So-
I saw it today.
Okay, yeah, you drove
Yeah.
by there. So he's, we went out there and he's gonna move the trailer up here. This is the high spot.
Right.
He's gonna move the tent away too, because that's pretty close to the stream back
Yep.
there. He's gonna, take the gravel out. He said.
It's a key.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they put a lot of gravel down for that, so they're gonna take that out, and I was saying, you know, you can move it across the street or something, that's fine, or if, you know, he wanted to keep it here, wouldn't see a problem, but I don't think he thought he needed it at all over
Yeah.
here, so they'll probably just take it out and use it on the other side where they have that gravel drive, and that's Highland side. So, he's got the equipment out there now, because they're doing the project, the addition project. So, we didn't think there was any concerns, but we knew it needs to come to meeting and you guys could vote on it. He'd like to kind of move forward and do that. So we'd actually be kind of restoring this whole side. We'll have him seed it.
Didn't we agree on this at the last meeting?
No, there were two things we hadn't agreed upon. We had not talked really about the tent, we had not talked about removing the gravel.
Right, and we
okay.
wanted to do a
Okay,
site visit
all right.
once there was no
All
snow,
right.
so.
And as soon as the snow was gone, what you can see is that, and I hope that he wasn't insulted when I brought it up in front of him, but as soon as the snow was gone, you could see that the gravel was forming a peninsula into the wetland. There was absolutely no question, the water was going around to the other side, and you were elevated by about a foot.
Yeah, it was elevated, yeah, it's wet meadow,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say there, so.
The other
Not
thing-
with the gravel, though.
Yeah.
If you take the gravel out,
Right,
it's a
right,
wet meadow.
Right. So, you guys okay with this? Do you need to vote on it, or?
I'm fine with
I
it.
will make the comment that today when I was up there, the water was coming off the field and shooting across the road, just the way that you said that it did.
From the other side of the street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So is there something we should be doing about that?
it was clean water. It wasn't at the
Okay.
point that I saw it.
Well, there is a culvert down there. Is it coming from like where the stream is, or is
Oh.
it from the field, coming down off the field?
I didn't get out of the car
Okay.
and analyze it. All I'm saying is that it came down, you know, that driveway comes down and
Yeah.
out, and there's water shooting across the
Do
road.
you think it was coming from up in the orchard? Coming down that slope?
Well, I think it's just that whole area up
That
there.
area, yeah, it had to be.
Drains down to that.
You're talking
And-
about the opposite side
Yeah.
of the road,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, the
and-
other side.
And it used to be before they put the gravel down, that would wash out and it would
Yeah.
be dirt that was
Yeah.
across the street, so it's.
I only
good that
mentioned it
it's-
because Stephen had mentioned it before.
Yeah.
So, we should,
Do you want me to,
no, I think we just let it go.
We have a consensus, don't we?
Yeah.
okay, great. I'll send him a letter and let him know things.
Yeah.
We have, we have 2 tree removal letter permits. One, they can't be here. It's one tree, I went out, looked at it, I think it's quick, we can talk about it. He lives in New York City, so he said if there was a concern, we could just put it on our agenda for next time so he could come in. He wasn't able to make it here today. But we can talk about it and see if you have a concern.
It's only 2.5 hours one way.
No.
And this one also, he didn't realize he has, just to give you a perspective where the tree is, he didn't realize he still has an open orders of conditions that 110 Westwood, I think Mr. Jalbert there might be working on. So, Lake's over on the right-hand side. Here's Westwood Drive, with the right-of-way. The tree is right here, so this is the one we're talking about. So I have some photos. I took some photos of the site too, because, just because I said if he could get the certificate of compliance in, I would do my check when it was there, which I thought the rest of the site was fine, based off that. So this is the tree by the road. His concern is that, there's a lot of dead limbs, and you can still see some up there when I was out there that are falling on the road. So it's a concern for safety there. It has a large pine on the left-hand side, and there's another large, oak, I believe, on the other side, on the right-hand side.
Did you see anything on the tree that would be the cause for its demise?
I didn't see anything on, like, on the lower section, but this branch up here, and there's another branch here that's dead. I mean, I couldn't tell, I took a picture here.
But you didn't see, for example, a hole near the base or?
I didn't notice
oozing of
anything like
sap?
that. Nope. I actually we had some trees removed here today, so Tom Chamberlain, I was talking to him about it, and one of the pine trees, and he was showing me, things to look for on trees and stuff, but
But this is an oak.
this one, right.
Yeah.
No, I know.
And they branches die off, periodically on oaks.
Yeah, it was,
I mean,
so,
there's, I've got two larger than that in my yard, and they have plenty of stuff that needs to be pruned. Doesn't make it a sick tree.
Right.
right, and he did have
How
someone.
close to the house is it?
I would say that's probably about 40 feet from the house, but it's right next to the road. Because at first I thought maybe it was a town tree, but it's actually, so I pulled out the plan and noticed where the line was. It is this person's tree. Because I told Tom, but it isn't his tree,
And
so.
how far from the lake is it?
It's over 100 feet. It's pretty far from the lake. And then, so you have the other tree on this side, and the branches kind of,
Yeah, I have
Go
no
into this
problem, but if it's over 100
canopy?
feet from the lake.
yeah.
What about the site being available for 2-to-1 replanting of shrubbery or something?
Yeah, he is proposing to plant a shrub, a flowering shrub up in front. I don't think he wants another tree in that location right next to the road. He does have, oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, there we go. So there's a lot of trees still here. He took one out when he did his expansion project here, but there's a lot of trees here, and it's really tight on the sides. And I believe there are, there's a tree up here and trees on the other side right here. So I didn't really feel like there's anything he could probably do down
It's a
here.
bit, from what you've told me, it's a 50 by 100 lot.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty.
yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, here's the 100-foot line right
Yeah,
here. so-
if it's 100 feet to the water from the road,
Right. Then it
And-
looks like 50 to 100.
There it is.
Yeah.
so I don't have a problem with it, I wouldn't even.
That's what I was-
replace it.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the 110 Westwood Drive, is that right?
Yep, sorry, 110 Westwood Drive.
And what about 19 Old Hamilton?
He's coming in, and I told him to come in later after the public hearings, so I'll wait on that one.
Is there information that he's going to add that you can't give us?
Yeah, I thought it might be useful. He doesn't have an arborist report, and there's 4 large pines. Dave and I went out there, and you can tell there's some decline in them. There's something going on there, but it wasn't really, I wasn't sure exactly
No.
what. So, he's,
No arborist report, man, for that site. They're alive.
well, I don't know.
Right.
They're in decline. I think
But
maybe
we
there
need a
might be.
pro to talk about it.
Right, we
because-
don't have enough information, I think.
Plus, it
Okay.
looked to us like there were other trees on the site that were more susceptible to being taken down.
Right, there was a lot of other dead trees there, so I thought it'd be useful if he came in, so, but I did talk to him and told him about, usually we ask for, an arborist report and why, and I said sometimes, somebody who comes and can give you a quote is also a certified arborist, and you could, get information from them. So I talked to him a little bit, but I thought it would be useful if he came in and talked about, he's been there for a while, so. All right,
You wanna-
Sure. In the interest of saving time, the Sturbridge Conservation Commission will hold all public hearings tonight for work within a wetland, water body, or resource area, and/or within the 200-foot buffer zone to a wetland, water body, or resource area, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and associated regulations, and the Town of Sturbridge Wetland Bylaws and associated regulations. We will not be reading the newspaper ad. Prior to opening the first hearing for each project, the applicant is to submit proof of notification to abutters within 200 feet of the subject property line and proof of legal newspaper advertisement. If these items are not submitted, the public hearing will not open. Additionally, prior to the start of each public hearing, we will announce the location of the project, the applicant, and the applicant's representative. If any of the visitors have not legibly signed in yet, please do. Also, if any visitors are recording this meeting, please let us know. Thank you.
Rebecca, you got all that?
Thank you. 6:15, notice of intent, DEP number 300-1008, 300 Clock Road Extension, Peter O. Bogliazzo, addition to a single-family home in the buffer zone.
Good evening, Leonard Jalbert from Jalbert Engineering, representing the client for this hearing at 300 Clark Road Extension. Before I do that, I would like to present the legal ads that were in the paper, a list of the certified abutters, and also the decision by the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit to allow the construction of the 8 by 12-foot addition. That decision was done after a public hearing and was issued on March 30th, 2018.
Becky, you got that picture to throw up?
I did, yeah. We looked at your tree when we were out there.
You mean half?
Yeah, right,
Half the tree?
the remainder of the tree.
Oh, we like the support mechanism you put under it.
Yes, thank you.
That's an outhouse.
I know. It was an outhouse, now it's an in-house.
Well, it's only one seater now. It was a two. If you knew when I went through to try and get that tree down for last year,
Oh, my
I
God.
don't know if you noticed, but there's a telephone pole,
Yeah.
okay? The supporting cable is attached to that tree. I've been calling that company for a year to try and have them remove that. That's why I couldn't take the tree down, because the cable is attached to the tree.
And doesn't that line go directly to that house that's next to yours?
Both houses, 300 and 302. So I couldn't take the tree down.
Okay.
I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. These people are notorious of doing nothing.
All right. Lenny, you want to?
Okay, what we're actually doing here is we're submitting, we did submit a notice of intent to DEP, and we got a file number at that, which was actually 1008 for the addition. It's in a position where it's over 50 feet from the lake. It maybe to expedite things, we could have gone for a determination because of the minimal impact to the site itself. However, I elected to do, for clarity, to file the notice of intent with DEP to make sure that everything is done correctly. What we're actually doing here is constructing a 8-foot by 12-foot addition onto the house itself. With the addition, it's going to be roughly 96 square feet, and the property, even after the 96 square feet, is still beyond the minimum requirement for a single-family house, which is actually 750 square feet. So because of the...
So is this,
Go ahead.
uh-oh. Steve, she gave me yours. Is this the house here?
That's the house.
That's the house, yes.
Okay. And this is, where's the lake?
Right there in the front.
Right
of
there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 50 feet.
And this is the extension here?
Yep, the gray
That's
is
it,
the
yep.
addition,
Okay.
the blue is a drip strip.
So this is the wetland from there to there?
Yeah.
You don't have any wetland over here?
No, nothing.
Okay.
See the elevations
Yep.
there?
Okay, what it is it's actually, there's a 25-foot zone, 50-foot zone, and the 100-foot zone, which is right here. The actual addition is the right here that you see, which is 8 foot by 12, and this here is actually a drip edge strip to handle the runoff from the building itself. The lot itself is serviced by town sewer, which is right here in this line here, which will not be changed. and a private well, which is located right here at this point here. That will not be changed. The addition right here will be supported on this side here by the existing structure, and on this side by the existing structure, and there'll be one pier that will be dug right there, and one pier right there. It will not be a full foundation. The addition will be on piers typical to what is there presently. So that's why I consider, it's actually minimum. There's more impact for disturbance on the drip edge than there is on the actual construction of the building. Okay? So that's it, basically.
All right, so, based off that, and it's, minimal disturbance, I don't anticipate any concerns. Peter had asked about, the tree, so I said we could talk about it. The tree fell down after the filing came in, so I said we could roll it all in. I don't anticipate any concerns with the removal of that dead tree either, especially where it is. I guess I'd recommend that we issue orders of conditions, with most of our general conditions for erosion control, maintenance during construction, and then just the perpetual maintenance of the drip strip, for the project.
David?
Lenny, I'm assuming that the angle of the roof is facing toward that blue strip that you put in?
Is doing the blue strip, yes.
I'm really curious about why we even have to have a drip strip. What's the type of soil proximal to the house?
I'd say it's Class 2 soil.
So if it's Class 2, we don't even need a drip strip then, because you're only adding 96 feet.
Well, it's catching the whole.
It's connecting, it's actually collecting the whole part of the
Oh,
house.
so you're taking it from the rest of the house too?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
I dropped my question.
Okay, wait, let me just show you, okay? It's
Okay.
easier than, excuse me, but what it is if you look right here, this is the section of the house which is right out in the
Oh,
back.
okay, yep.
See how the roof is slanted, and this is roof here? And now the addition's gonna go from this point here to
Over
this
to there.
point, which is 12 feet. So now we're gonna get the runoff from the full roof.
Yep.
Over here, that's where I put the.
Well, that's why, I didn't understand why the blue extended the way that it did.
That's why.
Good.
Okay.
Now you can see it, what it is.
Good, thank you.
Okay? Now, if you, I don't know if you want to, but here's actually, if you look at it, that end there, there's that roof.
That's even better.
Okay? Just shows you what it's like. Okay?
Okay. Thanks, Lenny.
You're welcome.
David, any other questions?
None, that's it.
Stephen?
Nope, we looked at it, and I don't see any issues.
Do I have a motion to close
So moved.
close the public hearing?
Close the
Any
public hearing.
any comments from?
Any comments? No.
You saved the
Thank
beginning.
you, thank you.
I make a
Do I have a
motion to
second?
close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And motion
Yeah. Because he did a notice of intent, 5 and 3, I make a motion that we approve the project and subject to the will of the agent.
Conditions.
Order of
Okay.
conditions.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 5 and 3, isn't it?
Okay, do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Go out and get your hammer and get ready.
It's too cold. I'm too old.
I thought the Conservation Commission would be a little more adapt to spring. They're just making it so damn cold. Why don't you raise the temperature, okay?
No, is he here for that?
Holy smokes, don't we wish we could, Lenny? Now I know why he put the tree on top of the outhouse, because he didn't want to use it.
What's he here for?
The Petrogas, which is the one that got taken off.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're not hearing that.
yeah, which is,
Come
yeah.
on.
So, yeah, we're not doing that Petrogas, the mobile gas station up
Yeah.
there.
Oh, okay.
Because there was an issue with
They,
the.
they
Take the tree down.
filed
Well,
incorrectly.
before I even bought the place.
They didn't individually notify butters, they notified the association.
Cold.
For the,
Well, because then they'll make you
so we
liable.
have to have them
So
all
we have to have
notified.
them on it.
I'm
So,
the closest to butter, and I got a notice.
That's
Oh, you
what we
did?
had lawyers
Yeah.
for. My
Yeah.
attorney's a pretty
Okay.
good guy. He could call tomorrow.
Okay,
I had concerns that planning.
Good luck with your
Okay.
project.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Just my concerns
Yeah.
here.
Okay, okay. Yeah, April 19th, it's in 2 weeks, we'll have it then. And you can always, if you wanted to send an email or something and express your concerns if you can't come to the meeting.
This is the right venue, I don't know exactly who's gonna talk, but they're gonna put, install a couple wells.
The well, okay, yep.
I'm not concerned about doing
There's a
the
process
rest.
through
Yeah.
DEP, and my understanding that they haven't started that process for the well exploration with DEP, which is Department of Environmental Protection. So you could outreach to them at their Worcester office, which is their central district, and you could talk to someone there about the wells. And I don't think they started that process yet with them, but there will be a process where they'll look at how much water they're pulling out and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, 'cause I'd rather talk about it now and have them change the design if this could be an issue.
Yeah.
Right now, they have wells out there near the road, about
Yeah.
900 feet away.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about it because we really can't legally talk about it. This is a public meeting, and we'll get ourselves into trouble if we say that we're not going to have a meeting, and then one resident comes in and we talk to the resident about the project. So, you can stop by Becky's office,
Yeah, I was gonna
which
give
is
you that.
downstairs,
Yeah.
anytime, and talk to her about it.
Yeah, I can talk to you a little bit about it too. I'm the agent, so. Okay.
Or call her at 2506,
Yeah.
347-2506.
It's on there.
This is the next meeting and then. And I have your email, I was gonna email you minutes from, planning board meeting where I mentioned this.
So while we're waiting for them to get set up, one of the things you missed at our site visit when we went to Rapscallion,
Yeah.
I don't know if Stephen was surprised at this, but I was shocked. Take a guess at how many disc golf players they have per month in a good season.
No idea.
600 a month.
You're kidding me.
No,
It's pretty popular.
I got my jaw dropped. I thought, holy, and did you know they had 2.8 acres that the disc golf course goes over?
No.
Goes up that hill.
Well, I saw yeah. Yeah.
It was really
The plan
surprising.
depiction of it
Yeah,
that's on the side of
yeah,
the trailer?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're now to 6:30. Notice of intent, DEP number 300-1011, Tantascua Shore Drive.
Hey, Mr. J, can you
Lutz
take it
and
out in the hallway,
Lynn
please?
Eckert, Frazen, represented by Green Hill Engineering, repair of a septic system in the buffer zone.
Mr. Farrell, welcome.
Hey, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, you want me to go over
ahead.
it quickly?
Yep.
Sure.
Introduce
I'm
yourself.
Mark Farrell, Green Hill Engineering, and this is a repair of a septic system for an existing house. It's a three-bedroom house on Tantascua Shore Road. South Pond it's on South Pond, and currently they have a septic tank and some sort of leaching facility, and that's not in compliance with Title V. It's too close to the well. So he wants to upgrade the system so that he can potentially sell it down the road. So what we're proposing to do is to come replace the tank. It's an older tank. It's probably only 500 gallons or 700 gallons. Put a 1,500-gallon two-compartment septic tank and put a small leach field over here. And we chose that area trying to maximize the distance from the wells. So we have this existing well here, and there's a butter's existing well over here. So it kind of pushes it away from the lake and away from the wells as best we can. This is the shoreline of the lake, and this would be the 100-foot buffer. So a portion of it's going to be within the 100-foot buffer, and the tank and this construction would be within. And for erosion control, proposing to put straw wattles along the property line and then hook it over to the corner of the house. The lot's heavily treed, just trying to, get his leach field in. A portion's going to be underneath the driveway. He's got a little loop driveway here, so a portion's going to be underneath the driveway. Whoops, sorry about that.
No, no problem.
So there be some minor tree, I know Rebecca, you had asked me about specifically what trees. There's bunches of little tiny trees in there, and I tried to avoid the biggest of the trees,
Okay,
and those along the property line.
okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if the ones, all the ones you were showing on the plan had to come out.
No, this one might have to, and there's just a bunch of trees up there. I tried to pick up the bigger of the trees, like this one here might be a problem. I mean, they're gonna be excavating out, and losing half the roots. The Board of Health actually likes to, under the old regulations, take them 25 feet all the way around, but it's really not necessary, and they're not, they kind of dropped that rule. So I would say maybe some smaller stuff in here, possibly this one and this one right here. 2 trees.
Okay.
Becky, any?
Dave and I went out on Tuesday, took a quick look at it. We took some pictures if you guys want to see just, where it is with the trees and that location. We were wondering too why this location, we were wondering,
Right.
is there any way of maybe using a little bit more of the existing gravel driveway like over here, but it looks like you have 2 wells here versus 1 on this side, so those are.
Got that neighbor's well,
Yeah,
I
and
got
that
neighbor
one.
well here, I got a neighbor's well here, and I got a neighbor's well down here.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of wells.
So I'm just trying to maximize the distance from, all the wells.
All right.
Code's 100 feet, we can't make it,
Right.
so I think the variances are,
75 and 70 that you already got.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's, right, we're looking at, a portion of it within 100 feet, the rest of it's outside. One note, so it is, South Pond is mapped as a priority habitat, not estimated habitat, so we're not looking at it under a notice of intent. It's a septic repair in existing yard, so it's probably exempt with them anyways, and you're only a portion of the project in there. I mean, if that's the only location, it's probably what we need to look at that, where we're gonna put it. So he's got erosion controls all the way around on this side too. This goes down pretty steep here, so he's got them all the way around. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of work here, maybe a benefit to put something there or not. I don't know how much digging is going on there. Maybe we could, as part of the conditions, make sure, mark which trees need to come out and what ones stay, so there's no inadvertently taking them all out. That might not be necessary. It is very heavily wooded. There's a lot of trees here, so I don't know that we need to add any. We didn't walk down to the shoreline here, but looking at the aerial photos, you can see there's a lot of trees in the back.
I don't even think you'd see the house in the aerial photos.
You can't. No, you can't.
It's
Yeah.
just all,
Yeah. Actually, I can pull it up if you guys want to. So, right, you can't even see the house. The house is underneath here, so.
That it?
That's all I got.
David?
Go back to the original one, please, Beck. The question that we had on site was, we thought that you could save more of those trees if you kept the 70 and 75 exemptions that you had already and moved it north, right along the edge of that blue line. You'd still have some overlap outside of the 100, within the 100, but you have that already anyway, Mark.
yeah.
And we were wondering if the mitigating factor did not become the trees. The mitigating factor to us looked like it was the double driveway. Is there a reason that they have to have that turnaround drive? Because if it's just for convenience sake, because there isn't a garage on the site, then taking out that driveway that you come in at the top part, you could put your septic system right there. And it would still be roughly 75 to 80 feet away from all 3 of those.
I think if we move it this way, we're
Yep.
going to be encroaching more on this well.
But I tried to measure it using a scale on my computer at home, and I came close to the 75 from that well. It's pretty close to the boundary line, the house boundary line, but I just felt that it looked like an enormous number of trees had to be taken down if it's in that current location. And part of the reason is because I understand what you're saying about not needing the 25, but we have some pretty conclusive evidence from most of the things that we've read in the last 10 years that indicates that trees really have to have a 10-foot radius around them, or better yet, a 15-foot radius around them.
yeah.
In order to really survive.
Right.
And you said you have to take half the roots out in some of them.
Right.
Man, they're done.
Right.
On a ball game.
Yeah.
You know, the poor person 5 years later is going to be paying $1 bazillion to take the trees down. So if
Well,
we
that's why I
can
think
avoid
that
that
this
up
tree
front.
here and that tree right there is gonna be so compromised, you might as well just take it down.
And they're big.
What's that?
And they're big.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't want to take any trees down. I mean, it's not like they're trying to expand their yard or increase, and they really don't have, he doesn't have much of parking area here at all. I mean, this is just historically what's been there, so it's not a, you know, there's not a lot of room. He doesn't have a lot of driveway on the lot.
Correct, but he could still use where you're planning on putting the septic system as the parking area.
We put heavy-duty pipe in the leach field so he can drive on top of it. So it's not like he's gonna lose, and this component, we just located outside the area, the D-box outside the area where there's gonna be vehicle traffic. So everything else, this is all Schedule 40 pipe, so they can drive over it, and there's no,
Well, you could almost leave the D-box right where you've got it sketched in on the plan and just flip the system.
well, I think I'd have to draw it on the computer, but I think this is an arc here, so if this is 70 feet, the arc's gonna come down into here. So I think what would happen, if you slid it this way, you would encroach more on this well. So instead of being 70 feet or whatever it is now, it would be like 60 or if you, like if you just slid
Yeah.
this right up into here, then I think you were gonna be right close to being 50 feet away from that well.
I thought the Board of Health had just realigned some of those numbers, though, to
Well,
take away the
they've
100.
always, on a repair, which this is, and there's no expansion in the number of bedrooms, the Board of Health has always been able to give you what they call a local upgrade from the 100-foot down to the 50.
So would this, they're not increasing the bedrooms, so it's not going to be maximum use, and you said it's a 1,500-gallon tank?
I can look at it, I'll slide it over here, but I think it's gonna be,
Too close?
it's gonna be close to the 50-foot, and again, what we try to do in the Board of Health is just, you know, from a Title V perspective, is maximize, you know, get as close to 100 feet as you can. So I think that the only, you know, by doing that, by putting it here, it just results in kind of larger trees being impacted, I believe.
Yeah, but a number of smaller trees are going to be taken out, too. I probably wouldn't even have considered that, except that you've already got 3 exemptions on the site.
Yeah.
And I figured, so,
Or,
well, no, it's the same exemption. You're just sliding it.
yeah, but I think it's gonna be, if we slide it this way, I know it's gonna get closer to the well, so instead of being,
But the one on the other side of the house is going to get dropped off. You're not going to need an exemption for that one.
I think you still need it. I looked at it, I mean, you know, what I do is I plop them on the paper and and I have radiuses drawn and I
Yep.
kind of move them around there. So I did look at that, and I don't think I think we'd still be within 100 feet to his well.
Oh,
And instead of kind of being equally distant, you know, it's close to 100 feet from both wells, we would be closer to
Okay.
this one and maybe gain 10 feet on this one or something like that. I don't know what the numbers are. I'd be glad to look at it and just,
I would appreciate it if you
Yeah.
would. Just to see what kind of, these things are right on Bloody Lake, and it's really good to keep as much canopy as we can.
well, this one here is almost 100 feet from the lake.
Yeah,
So, in fact, this tree right in here is over 100 feet from the lake.
Yeah, it's just behind the blue line.
But and he sits up on a bluff. So it's not like we're real close to the water table. He's 15 feet above the water table there.
Yeah, my big concern was wondering about replanting, but that you addressed that already, so I'm good.
I have no questions. Nope.
I make a motion, we close it.
Any comments from the audience?
No comments.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
You almost said peanut gallery.
You make favorable comments.
Make a motion, we close the notice of intent DEP file number,
It does have one now.
It does.
It came in yesterday, 10-11.
what's the number?
10,
10,
11. No, don't dash.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then we close the notice of intent DEP file number 300-1011.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All right.
And I also move that, I don't know how we're going to word this so that Mark can look at it again. I make a motion that we approve of the notice of intent pending a discussion between Mark and Becky relative to the possibility of modifying the location for the protection of the trees. And if Mark comes in and shows Becky that it can't be done, it can't be done, Mark, okay?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
You did it.
All right.
Don't go anywhere.
Mark, is it still taking a long time to get numbers out of DEP and comments?
Not really.
No?
No, they usually, if we send them an email 2 or 3 days prior, they usually will try to respond back. So I think we just sent them an email 2 or 3 days ago and said, any chance can we get it before the meeting? And then they,
Oh, that's great.
I think they have like 30 days or something to issue them, do they, or are they any time?
No.
Natural Heritage has 30 days. I don't know that they have a specific
I think they have
Yeah.
21. But we have been hearing horror stories about many weeks.
Really?
I haven't.
Well, one thing that holds them up is if you're, the check's got to clear.
Oh, I never thought of that.
So they won't issue them, I guess, until the check actually, they get the check, they deposit it in a lockbox. I think it has to clear
Before they do it, before they
or
work.
they'll issue it.
Well,
Yeah.
we had that project on Cedar Pond where the trailers were, where the guy couldn't get the 300 number, literally for weeks.
And you know that because he told you that, right?
He told us.
Well, a couple of weeks, I don't think's out of the ordinary. I mean, that's, yeah.
This was,
And I think the other thing too is they've told me that if you file electronically, they can issue them quicker.
Yeah.
Right, it's already in their system. They don't have to log it
Yeah.
in. And,
Yeah, and then they can look at it, they can look at all the plans, everything. If you send it in a paper application, then it's got to get routed to them, and they
Goes to the other
definitely prefer them electronically.
Good. All right, we are now at, thanks, Mark. 6:45. Doesn't look like it by that clock, but it's beyond the 7 already on the. That's because it fell.
that's the dropping clock.
Notice of intent, DEP number 300 -1012, 52 South Shore Drive. Alan Shaughnessy, represented by Green Hill Engineering, installation of a new well and water line in the buffer zone. Okay.
Are these,
Yeah, that's supposed to work.
there's two of them here.
Same thing.
One for each hand.
Yeah,
One what?
one for each hand.
I pressed the button, I didn't know if I made the slides advance.
Oh, yeah.
So she clearly in charge of that.
I'm in charge.
The boss has got her hand right on it.
You can go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a proposed plan to install a new well for an existing house. They have a house here, it's built in the late 50s. The same person who built it still lives there. And what they have is what they call a driven well point, and that's just merely, you pound it in with a sledgehammer till you hit the water table, and there's like a little screen at the bottom. So they, over time, the screens get plugged up. You can have problems with them. So he's run out of water. He's elderly. He can't. They're constantly trying to fix it, and they pull it out, put a new screen in, and bang it back in the ground, and it's just not a good, productive well. So he would like to upgrade it and put a drilled well in. Currently, he has a leaching facility in this area here. A neighbor has one right up in here, and then another neighbor has it right over here. So we're trying to get the well distant enough from these leach fields and his current one, and so we put it up near the road here. They can just pull. This is another lot that's heavily treed, all kinds of trees in here. So the proposal is to drill the well here and then run a water line down as best they can between the trees and then come into the house here.
Is there a reason for coming into the house
There?
there, or could it be moved potentially? The only thing, when we were out there, we did notice all the trees and the roots here.
Yeah.
Wondering about kind of issues with the roots, and the trees are gonna die, we've been seeing that. But we didn't know if like going through the driveway, and then there's like a path that comes down. I mean, it was leach fields there, but I didn't know if that was an option or not, but.
I think down the road, this is where, his next trip will be to put a new leach field in.
Okay, so
So
that
if you
would
put
be,
the water line over in here, this is the area that's probably best to put another leach field in when the time comes. He's got a system here that probably dates from the 70s. So, plus his water tank and all that is kind of on this side of the house.
What about putting it where the old one is?
The well?
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be more disruptive to the site to try to get a well
Is it?
truck all the way
Is it?
down.
Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't seen the site.
Yeah, no, it would be, that would be an option, but I think it would be more tree removal, and they need room to get the mast up, and they.
Okay, yeah, no, you answered the question, yeah.
Think about where Donna used to live. It's 2 houses to the left of that.
Okay,
So it's down in that little gully
Yep.
like.
yeah.
Well, he's not down in the gully yet.
he's on the hill.
These get down in,
Oh, the next one down.
well, this
Holy
one's pretty good,
smokes.
and then there's one more down in here that's really in a low area.
Okay. You can always bring it in the winter and bring the well truck across the ice.
Mark,
That's probably how they did them in the old days, but I don't
Yeah.
know if they would ever let you do it now.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't let you do it now.
I mean, there are guidelines for ice roads that you
Yeah.
can look in the northern climates, and they'll tell you how many feet of ice you need in order to have,
Oh, yeah, no.
and they do have ice roads, but, I don't know if our ice ever gets that thick around here, but,
can you use your pointer, Mark, and give us an indication as to where the current leach field is, approximately? That's it?
right here. I think he's got a tank, and then he's got some sort of, leach field there.
All right. The questions, gentlemen?
We just destroyed our argument.
I put these hay bales too, going across the
Yeah.
trench afterwards, because I just don't want to have water coming down here and then end up taking the trench out. Soft dirt.
Yeah. It's
So I got,
also got a slope to it.
what's that?
Got a slope to it
A
coming
little
from
bit
the
of
roadway.
slope to it, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mark, what about following the pathway with the water line? Is that an option to bring it over here?
We could probably do that.
Were you going to trench it with how are you going to do the trench?
Well, they would do it with a small machine.
Like
Yeah.
a ditch witch?
Like a
A
ditch
small
witch?
excavator,
Oh.
mini. So you could probably, I don't think this is much of a walk, I think it's just like pavers.
I took some pictures, I might have a picture of that.
I think that,
So that's the path there, I think I
The
have.
other side.
Yeah, it looks like it might be just
that's
like.
concrete, I
Oh.
think up to here, and then,
See what else
so
we got.
about from where the house is,
Yeah, maybe it is concrete there.
I think it's concrete,
I'm going to talk about this too.
Oh, yeah, I can
and
see.
then it's just pavers there.
That's
So you could probably come right alongside there.
Right.
He's got a little bit of drainage, multiple pipes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about those.
Yeah, so I think when he put the garage up, he tied the leaders over to here. So, but I guess you could come down here because these are just pavers. And then he could come down and then parallel the driveway, and this would be maybe the only tree would be impacted.
Okay. Right, I just hate to see these really big trees get impacted. I don't know if they are, or if I guess.
Well,
the
you
water
would
lines
be
will-
going through, you'd be cutting a lot of roots there, so it's
Yeah.
just, it's a heavily wooded, I'd consider to be, wooded lot. They're very old, mature trees. If it was my lot, I would want to take them all down, but. Well, they're just too big. I mean, they're towering.
They're big.
Pine trees that eventually a windstorm's gonna come and take them down.
Yeah.
Take the tops down. They're gonna, hopefully they don't land on the building or cause too much damage. But you could just come across here, so maybe it might impact the trees up here a little bit, cutting over, but then you could just go down underneath that walk and then follow that walkway down.
You wouldn't need to even do it under the walk, you could do it right next to the walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great if you could do that.
And the impact that you have on the trees that are closer to the house would remove part of your argument about those big trees.
Right.
Because if it impacts the trees close to the house and you have to take them down, it protects the house.
Right.
Good catch,
Okay.
Stephen. Well, I'd love to close this public hearing.
Any
You have a second?
Any comments yet from the public?
No.
Mr. Jalbert, any comments?
Any comments? No?
Mark is
Okay.
begging for favorable comments, Lenny.
He doesn't know when we go outside, he's gonna tell me he owes me one.
Yeah, so anyway, that was my motion.
Good.
Second.
Discussion? No, we're closing the public hearing.
Right.
Okay, all in favor? All right, now your motion.
I'm not sure that we can do it because we're looking for a new plan.
No, we'll just spec it to go down along the walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all we did to do.
They
were gonna work it through the best they could
I make a
anyway.
motion that for the notice of intent, DEP file number 300-1012, that we reroute the water line closer to the existing garage and walkway.
How about along?
Long?
Along.
Fine.
Do you have a second?
Can you work with that, Mark?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem. Nope.
Any further discussion?
Do you want a revised plan before I issue orders of conditions reflecting that we can put on there?
Yes,
I think, okay, yeah,
because we're going to have to ask
A
for
new
one
blue
anyway.
line.
right, that's what, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
2 in a row?
All right, we have
Thank you very much. Have a
Thanks,
good
Mike.
night.
Thank you.
You too.
6:55.
Yeah, yeah.
What do we got to do?
Well, no, I was just saying that when people come in, sign in if they're
Oh,
here for the Petrogas one, since we're not having that one, just to let them know, so.
So that's continued to April 19th?
19th.
Oh, really?
And were you here for the Haynes Road project, the Petrogas? Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm here sort of just as an observer, but interested in 336 The Trail,
Okay.
working with the buyers on that end.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we actually already talked about that one.
Yep.
Oh, you did?
So
was
that
just
one,
gonna
right, that
explain
one was
that.
just the certificate of compliance
Yep.
for the existing orders and conditions where they put the driveway in, and we already signed that one. So that's all set. And then they filed a notice of intent,
Yep.
which they just filed it, so it'll be on our next agenda for our April 19th meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
you weren't doing that tonight, too?
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
All right, then, very good.
But if you stay, it gets more fascinating.
Well, you know what, I might talk a little bit, because really, I'm just kind of curious about how this all goes. So I might hang around for a few minutes.
Well, what do
So we
have
got
to go
4
over?
minutes.
Yeah.
What else
No,
do
we
we
don't.
have?
We've got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because, that was the next one.
Yep.
I was skipping that already. All right, I was gonna wait on that tree one. We can do, someone was gonna be coming in for the, request for the minor change to orders of conditions. I guess we could talk about it, and if you don't have concerns with it, you can make your decision, and when he comes, we can just let him know it's all set, or you can have them discuss it. It's your choice.
It would be good to start the discussion.
Okay. So this is a project you guys already approved, and we have issued orders for it. This is 660 Main Street. It's in front of where the Galileo building is. This is the Heal Inc. It's the development here for
Marijuana, medical marijuana.
Yep. So this plan, what you're looking at is, they made some revisions. So the previous fire chief needed or wanted a turnaround, so they had more parking. They had a little parking area that jutted out here, and you can see like the pink line here. This was parking lot here, and the building was here. So they're not required to have that turnaround anymore. There will be a hydrant somewhere near here. I don't know the whole reasoning for it, but they don't have to have that parking. So what they wanted to do was to shift the building from here over, remove the parking. That's the only change. It's not going to modify the stormwater management plan. They're going to leave it proposed as it was for the increased amount of parking. So there's no changes. We're looking at, this is the detention basin, so there's lines drawn off that, but that's the detention basin for the parking lot up here, so I don't think that's actually jurisdictional, and that might have come up before. So we have wetlands across the street, so we have a buffer zone here, we have 100-foot here, and then our 100-foot is here. So if you take out the buffer zones for this, all of this work is outside of the 100-foot, and right, our 200-foot's right here, so it's mostly outside of our area. So they're asking for a minor change to the orders of conditions, because it's not changing anything within our jurisdictional area, and it's,
Are they going to send us a new plan?
I already have the new plan. Yep, I have the new
That's not a new
plan.
plan, is it?
Nope, they sent this in addition, so it was easier to see what the changes were.
that's good.
I have a full set of plans for it. So, I mean, it doesn't have a potential to adversely affect the resource areas. I think that we can just require that at the end, they do an as-built with their certificate of compliance.
Now, there's wetland here, too.
Where are you pointing to?
Right.
Right, that's where the buffer zone comes
Yeah.
off of, yeah.
So it's still
Yeah.
200
They're
feet
not- I
out.
thought you said across the street.
I'm sorry, yes, there is some across the street, and right, you're right, there's some in that corner over there.
Gentlemen?
They're decreasing the impacts, so
Yeah.
I consider that that would fit a minor change. Yep. So I have no problem.
David?
I can't vote for it. Until we hear from the fire chief, because that loop around the building, we were told at the time, was because the fire chief insisted that he could get his equipment around the building.
Right, Rebecca might be able to speak on that, because they've already gone to planning.
Okay.
So Heal has.
Welcome to the meeting. You're going to introduce yourself, Rebecca.
Hi, my name's Rebecca DeCourcy. I'm the admin in the planning department. And Heel came to our last planning board meeting for a minor modification of their site plan on this project, as Rebecca was discussing. And they have met with the new Chief Grasso in the fire department and fully discussed the plans with him. So some of the challenges they saw with their construction was needing a sprinkler system and the turnaround with the parking. New Chief Grasso, he's probably not that new anymore, but Chief Grasso, they worked with him to relocate the position of the fire hydrant to his satisfaction, and he felt that the additional parking was not needed for the truck access, and there was plenty of access without that.
And the ring around the building was not required?
It was not required.
And you
no.
have that in writing?
Myself,
No, I mean in the planning department.
yes, we do.
Because we can't go as he said, she said.
No,
I can
no,
pull up
this
the
was,
plans, but I
we,
don't think this plan had a ring around the
Right.
building
I
anyways.
think it was a turnaround.
There was a turnaround.
Right, but there
Yes.
wasn't a ring, yeah, this was the turnaround for them to back up into, that was my
Right.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there wasn't anything else.
Because I remember the last guy raised hell about it. The fire
He
chief.
did, yes,
Yeah.
yep. And because of because of the sprinkler system that he wanted, they had to really cut down the project because construction costs are really high right now
So
everywhere.
where's the hydrant, do you know?
I don't.
It's probably on the other plans, I can,
I'm just curious, that we've had 2 fires on Shepherd Road, and it really does show you.
I want to say the corner,
You need
it's on one of the
water.
corners. And I think
But
it
that's out of our
is
jurisdiction anyway.
relocated
I
from
know it is.
the original position. But this did go through the waiver of site plan, and the planning board
Okay.
voted
Okay.
in favor of it.
It did.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so you feel comfortable that it isn't he said, she said, there is.
Right, no, there is documentation.
okay.
Heel and all the lawyers met with
That
Chief
reassures
Grasso
me.
numerous times to cover all the.
That reassures me, thank you very much.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know where it is.
We have a motion to approve the,
We're looking for your hydrant, buddy.
Do you want me to keep?
no,
going
don't
through
look
them?
for it. Mr. Barnacle's completely
All right.
correct. We don't know what it is.
No, I didn't mean to challenge you like that, but I get really nervous if, somebody comes in and they say, well, yeah, he said we could do it. Oh, really?
They're dotting all their i's and crossing all their
Right.
There you go.
Okay,
So I make a motion to approve the minor changes to the order of
I'll
conditions.
second it.
discussion? Lenny? All in favor? Thank you. All right,
So Rebecca, when they check in, you recognize them, just let them know. We can let them know.
Heel, yes.
Yes,
I will.
yep, yep.
Can we call them, or?
I don't have a phone number for
Okay.
them, yeah.
What time are they supposed to be here?
Well, I had said that our last public hearing was at 7:30, so I told them to come in right after that, probably. This was before I knew we had the canceled one, too, so. So I'm
That's
assuming
all right,
about
we can do
7:30.
we can do the old business if you want.
They're actually coming in as well for the 22-seater lake.
No, I'm talking about the Trails Committee, which you don't know about.
Oh, okay.
okay.
That's up to you, time-wise, it's up to the chair whether we want to do
We have
this.
10 minutes.
Yeah, I think we do want to do it. Want to take a 5-minute break? And then do it? Or do you want to do it?
We need a break?
Yeah, we do.
What, are you getting old?
I can
Yes,
just
Mr.
add,
Chairman.
just, you'd asked me to look into, I'd issued a letter to the owner of 551
Okay.
Lead Mine Road. He has been in, I issued a letter, he came in, he's been working with building. He came in and gave me an update, he said he's working on getting the trailer removed. Was starting to schedule for an asbestos inspection.
Oh, good.
So he's working on it, he's gonna have to do an asbestos inspection and go from there, so.
But the answer to the real question
Agent.
still remains.
Agent's request.
Nothing's been removed from the site that I know of.
So the propane tanks or the gas tanks are still
Oil,
there?
yeah, there's an oil tank in the back,
Right.
still there, yeah.
All right, so can you send him a confirmation? You've spoken to him verbally, right?
Right, he came in, I issued a letter
Oh, you
asking
did,
about the
okay.
status of it, and he came in.
Send us a copy of the letter,
Okay.
please.
we can do approval of minutes if you
Yep.
want, or?
That was what David was, let's go with, start with February 22nd. Have them here somewhere.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we approve, first of all, I'd like to go to the oldest one first, the amended minutes of October 5th of 2017.
Okay, hold
I'd
on.
like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 5th, 2017, as amended. There were minor amendments that Ann had sent out to us 2 weeks ago so that we could fix some of the items that were there. And so I think we should approve those amended minutes.
Second.
All in favor? All right. So we have that. That's October 5th.
Yep.
So then we'll go to March 15th.
Yeah, that's the most recent one, but yeah.
It's the
I
one-
can move to do that one because I remember it quite well.
All right.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 15th, 2018, as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
And I make a motion that we approve the March 1st minutes also, as written.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
I can't remember the 22nd of February's minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, the first time the condiments just came in. Okay. Oh, I like that page.
Yeah, that's good. Wow.
Once a critic, always a critic.
This is the one that I had trouble with. Now I recall it quite well, that's why I didn't just vote to approve it. Ed, have you gone back over the 22nd and really given it the hairy eyeball? And are you comfortable with it? The Dowdy Road
Yes,
part?
no, yes. Yes, I've gone over it. Am I really comfortable with it?
No.
No.
No, but do you agree with the verbiage as expressed for the discussion part of the minutes? Because remember that they were very long.
Yeah. That, I do remember.
Because I remember Ann was being particularly cautious. I move that we approve the minutes of February 22nd as written.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Great.
If it comes back and bites me, it's my fault.
Did you want your break now? You got 5 minutes.
Got 5 minutes.
You can have your break.
Can I have my break now?
Do you want to borrow my cane?
No, no, I don't need your cane. I need 10 minutes I had your cane.
Okay, so if he's going, you scared the heck out of me at subway system. The Silver Line is shut down, but same thing?
David, you want to talk about the trails?
Oh, sure. I received at 2:30 this afternoon an email from the chairman of the Trails Committee. Brandon Goodwin. And I did not erase it. When I find it tomorrow, I'll bring it up to you. Brandon.
Well, it's regarding the Plimpton property, right?
It is. Yeah, but what Brandon did was a really good explanation of what we need. Hang on, I'll pull it up this way. What Brandon is saying is, he'd like me to give the Concom a heads up that the Trails Committee is going to need help on creating a notice of intent for the Plimpton property during the next couple of weeks, ? We'll submit the data this weekend on the number of wetland crossings and details on the parking lot that we're looking for approval on. We're also going to ask for approval on the single track that they're planning to build on the property. It's important to discuss it tonight because we'd like to get the paperwork created prior to the next meeting, which is 2 weeks from now. The end goal, as I've been explaining to you during my trails updates to you guys, is to get the property ready for a single-track mountain biking event that they would like to hold in late August. So timing is going to be critical. The trail that they're talking about does not involve crossings. The trail, most of the trail is going to be straight single-track trail, because we were on it back in the Earth Day cleanup or Earth Day clearing that was done on the Plimpton property earlier. But the balance of the trails is going to cross over several of these. And so I warned him that we might have a difficult time because of Ann's departure and your being overburdened. But what he's indicating is they would like to see if they can't get this to the point where a notice of intent could be done. And the only reason I thought we might have a problem is because you had brought up NESHP or
Yep.
NHESP as having a problem because of some species that were protected within the area. And I don't know which ones those are or where they're located.
Right. I had sent an information request to them, and the reply was that it was a data-sensitive species. So it's not the marble salamander.
It's a what species?
It's a data-sensitive.
Data sensitive, which means they can't,
Oh.
Yeah.
they won't tell the name and they won't tell the specific location.
Right, but what we need to do is we need to give them the information, and we can do it, like I was saying, as like a pre-filing with them, to find out what concerns they might have, but we will need to file this project for their review. Now, they have taken the stance in some instances where they allow the development of some trails. They'll call that habitat management because it keeps people out of sensitive areas.
Correct.
So you work with them kind of on that. But we need to start that discussion with them. I would think before we file a notice of intent, because we'll have to file it with them.
How do we initiate that discussion, Becky?
Well, I submitted that information request, and when I have some information from Trails where they, potential locations, what they're thinking, I can start that discussion with them, because they've
Okay.
already started the information request. I have to say, can you assign a reviewer to it and start having that discussion with them?
Because if we can discern which one of the areas they're finding as sensitive area, we
Right.
can avoid that.
Right, and that's gonna be, important. And if they don't see it as like habitat management, then we would need to file for a review
No,
under
we
the
can
Endangered
make it
Species Act.
habitat management.
Okay, right.
Because we can keep the people out of the sensitive areas and let them utilize the non-sensitive areas.
Right, and this is different than, commercial development, and I don't anticipate that this could rise to the level of a take of the species, but we have to, see what's being proposed, like 15 miles, they might say, yeah, that's not,
It's also,
habitat management, but we can start that process, but I think we need to do that probably before the notice of intent.
it's also a specific event which will end up in a long-term trail. So.
Right,
the
it's for an
spec-
event, but it's, they're gonna maintain
There
the
is-
trails.
And so we could definitely put it into the verbiage that would make that work.
How many trail crossings? I mean, how many wetland crossings?
Actually, they don't know yet because they haven't been able to get out there because of the bloody weather. When we were out there last year, we saw what we thought was one large one. There's one area that's probably from wall to wall, and what it is sheet flow. So in the springtime, it's wet as heck, and it's maybe 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches deep when spring flow takes place. And as soon as spring flow is done, it dries right up, and you have nothing. I mean, it's muddy gush for the rest of the time, but it's relatively not flowing. And the rest of the items, we could take care of with bog bridges. That's,
Okay.
Wouldn't the development of a notice of intent, though, focus it? Give them, so they're giving you all the answers you need? I mean, as far as,
Well, right, if we have a notice of intent to move forward with, but I think it's kind of, would be good to have some discussion before creating all of that
right.
plans, et cetera, if something could be an issue. So I'll be happy to contact them tomorrow and kind of get the ball rolling on it, but it would be good to have some type of idea.
I
But-
think what Brandon's concept is that the three of them can get out there this weekend, and they can really isolate and mark exactly where the wetland crossing should be.
Can they,
It's Darcy's husband that's doing the work, Ed, and he has already laid out some of the flagging, but some of the crossings he stayed away from because the crossings were inaccessible in 6 and 8 inches
someone
of snow.
GPSing what they think, where they think their trails would be? Right, if we have that, we can send that over as a starting point and start the discussion and see what they think
Yeah.
and how we need to move forward, because if not, then we file for a review, and if they think it's a take, it could be a permit, you know, I mean, I don't think it would rise to that level, but,
Darcy who?
Darcy Foley. She was a biology teacher at the high school.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was thinking of Darcy, who helped us get.
Oh,
the
no, no,
pumpkin
no,
pop.
this is, Darcy, here's her first name.
all right, do we want to get back on?
Yeah, we need to get back
Yeah.
on the schedule.
Sorry, yep. All right,
I'll contact Brandon tonight and take care of that.
okay. Notice of intent, DEP number 300-1010, 50 Hall Road, OFS Fatel LLC, represented by Jalbert Engineering, replacement of existing retaining wall within the buffer zone. Lenny?
Leonard Jalbert from Jalbert Engineering, representing the project located at 50 Hall Road for OFS. What this actually is a replacement of an existing wall structure there. And before we do that, I'd like to give you a copy of the legal notice and the certified abutters list.
Thank you. Hard to see that.
I think that before we do this, I'd like to enlighten some of the members of the board who were not present at the site visit to show you some pictures of what we have actually encountered in this particular site. So just a minute, if you people would like to see them, I'd be happy to show them.
Can you pull this up on the town?
Yes, yep. I have some pictures that I took out there for you too.
Here's the
Oh,
pictures of the wall, just
Eddie needs to see these.
falling up. That's the wall literally falling apart.
Gotcha.
Here's that. There's it right here. You can see it. It's just crumbling.
See what
Oh, yeah.
Lenny and I were just talking
Right.
about? That is frightening.
Yeah.
And you see
Right here,
the,
it's
Wow.
actually-
See the light areas?
It's dropping out.
the light areas, Lenny went over and poked his finger in some of them, and the material simply fell out.
Yeah.
What's the height of this, Lenny? Is
It's
that,
roughly, it ranges
4
from
feet?
about 6 inches to about 4 or 5 feet,
okay.
but it slopes.
You want to
down.
replace the wall in
What
place?
we're doing, we're taking the wall out and replacing it in its entirety.
What are you going to do with cinder block?
No, we're going with Versalock this time.
Pin.
And it's all gonna be pinned.
Right, we have details on the plan too.
Yep. I've been down there. It's been
Yeah.
crummy for a long time.
Does that ladder stay?
Please?
That
The ladder's gonna be,
Do you wanna see this?
Oh, this is the.
Yeah, it's just a detail for the,
ladder
yeah.
right there is, right here, there's a concrete wall which comes through.
You want the plan?
Yeah, just the plan.
Yeah, it might be easier to see it than up there anyways, but.
Okay, right here there's a concrete wall right here, which is this. Okay, and that ladder is right here at this point right in there.
Okay.
And that's gonna be taken out and replaced.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
You also need to remember that they can access the site by going around to the back of the site without causing any environmental damage.
Right, so actually we are out
You're
there.
going to talk about that, Lenny?
Okay, what is actually taking place here is that the wall on this side here, which is basically the westerly side, this portion right in here, is going to be removed in its entirety and replaced. And there's another wall over here that's going to be removed and replaced there. The wall that's back here on this side is already replaced with new Versalock blocks in here. It's structurally sound, it doesn't need to be repaired. It's the other area here and there that has to be repaired. What it actually is, if you look at it, the site itself, I think you have an overall picture of that, don't you, someplace?
Yeah, I have some pictures.
It's a nitrogen
If you look at, this is the most westerly side over here, and up in the back over here, all this area in the back is completely paved. So this area is all paved in the back here, and then access to the property itself is onto a Hall Road is all paved. The area where we're removing the wall itself is all either paved or concrete, so there's nothing that's going to be going there. The only disturbance would be where the wall itself is. The detail is that the wall goes onto a footing, which is crushed stone, which is 6 inches deep. It goes roughly penetrates 6 inches into the ground, and then goes from there up here on this side. The fence that's over there, roughly 3 feet from the wall itself, which completely encloses the work area, will remain. The only thing is that all work will be done inside of this area here, removing the wall and replacing it, and there'll be no need for equipment to be coming along the outside of the area itself. The only thing is there's concrete blocks that are in there that we use for supporting the tanks. They will have to bring in some fill to be able to manage the forklift going over these things, but outside of that, that fill again would be removed later on. In the purpose of runoff, what we've done on the site, I don't know if it's, we can see another area of it.
That's on the
This
side.
here's the back side of the site. There's the fence right over here. There's a concrete wall, and there's another, this area over here is already done. Nothing will be done in that particular area. And this area here, there shouldn't be any equipment or anything going through here. However, what we did is we endeavored to take along this backside here and along the wetland over there in the top, we decided to go in with a soil erosion control area. The reason for it is not because of anticipated disturbance, but was just to delineate the actual work area to just show what the limits were actually being done, and that there wouldn't be anything within that area by putting in that barrier. What we're going to do with the barrier is either go in with silt socks along this area, or one row of hay bales with a silt fence. But looking at the area here, which is very flat, to put in a silt fence in here, I feel would be rather destructive. And I'd recommend not installing the silt fence, to go in either with, if you have to, hay bales. But then I'd say that the best thing here would be, if you wanted it, is just go in here with a 12-inch wattles along this area on both sides. The wattle would create two things, major things I consider, is that it fits better within the contours of the area and the confines of the site. There is no destruction for installing wattles. It's just a matter of putting in a few stakes. Where if you put in hay bales correctly, that means we'd have to basically go in with a trench going through here for the hay bales, install the hay bales and stake it. And I'd say that the least destructive part to do would be to go with the wattles and just forget it. That's what I'd recommend. We did the catch basins that are in the roadway itself. We've got them armored with hay bales that are shown on the plans, and on the second sheet it says that the hay bales actually would be done, and it says either use straw wattle or a filter sock. What we've done is we actually put in the detail of the silt sock in the plans, and I think that would be the thing for the, sorry about that, catch basins, is to install silt socks. Sorry. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Need a 5-minute break, Lenny?
No, I need some water after, but that's all right. Joke.
Are the tanks being replaced, putting new tanks in?
No, nothing. The only thing that's being replaced is the wall itself.
Just the wall?
That's it. The tanks are going to stay as is.
Okay.
Question first.
Yeah, like Lenny said, we went out, had a site visit, looked at it. One thing is, the other guys had thought maybe there'd be equipment up on the top there. So when we were out there, we were talking about the whole silt fence and probably not needing anything back there, but if they were gonna have equipment up here, is to maybe do something and wrap it around to keep them from going outside into the small stream there.
Yeah, but wattles should do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think
Yeah.
we need anything more. And they can modify it, I think, even if it's just kind of wraps around here, because they're not doing anything in this whole area. And then this retaining wall here, which is all within the pavement area, was not even 2 feet tall. They probably can do that pretty quickly. So we thought if they, we can work out some type of, segmented erosion control plan for them, because they do have trucks and equipment going in there. I don't think there's any major concerns. They do have, show, erosion controls for stockpiling of excavated materials. The only ones that are gonna be stockpiled are gonna be reused. Everything else will be loaded in trucks, they said, and taken away. Yeah, and they have the filter socks on the catch basins, which are located close to them there and downhill. So I don't anticipate any concerns. I think we can, have some different conditions in there and work with them on the erosion controls, if they are segmenting the project.
Okay. David?
Stephen felt he had some questions to ask first.
Can I have a pointer that works?
50-50 shot on that.
Yeah, so my comment would be, because of this fence here, and you're not going to have any equipment back there, I don't see any reason to do this, the erosion controls, as Becky said. And this is the limit of the work on the wall here, right? Lenny?
Basically yes and basically no. The limit for this section here is at that point right there.
Yeah.
But there's also this one here. This wall right here will be
Right.
replaced.
But that's all on the concrete.
That's
and
all.
that's all on this side of the
that's
fence.
That's all within the concrete slabs and everything. And that wall here, this here goes anywhere from 6 inches to 2 foot high. That's all. It's,
Yeah.
if you look, I can
I might have a photo.
show you what it looks like. That wall there is this one.
Oh, right.
That's going to be replaced.
Different project.
Yeah, I think because of the, yeah, because this is so flat here, you're not gonna have any equipment back here, I don't see any reason to even put the erosion controls there.
Is that gonna be
That's my comment.
a supply line through there? Are you gonna be?
Back there,
Yeah.
nothing,
Nothing.
Nothing's
No.
going back there?
No
nothing
equipment.
at all. What happens, if you look at the front of it, I'll show you here. It's easier, it's on the plan, but it's clearer here. If you look, here's the tank farm field.
Right, yeah.
Okay, this here is this line going to the building. It's all overhead, and it's there now. It's not going,
Yeah.
nothing's changing.
Yeah.
It's 10 to 12 feet overhead.
Right.
And they won't do anything on that road that you just pointed out, Ed, because inside of that fenced-in area is a hydrogen tank of 800 to 1,000 gallon.
Right.
They want no disturbances anywhere proximal to that tank.
Right.
Okay.
One question that we asked, but you should explain for the general public, Lenny, about the material as you take it out. Because you're going to have a lot of concrete that's going to be removed.
What's happening, it's delineated on the other sheet, but what's happening here is there's gonna be a truck coming in here. The small loader over here is going from there directly into the truck and removing directly off the site. There'll be no stockpile.
So there's no stockpiling on site.
Yeah.
Except for, you said the Versalock materials.
Well, the Versalock material, what it is in the cross-section, the area here, from here, up here, and this over here requires 6 inches, a half-inch stone, and that would be going up in the parking lot in this area here, which would be stockpiled and protected with wattles. It's right here, it just shows you the whole thing.
I just felt we needed that clarification for the general public. I have no other questions.
Good.
Stephen, should I ask Dave if you have any questions?
No, but you should ask the public.
I know, I will. Anybody in the public like to speak on this? All right. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes, I make a motion that we close public hearing number, whoops.
10-10.
1010.
1010?
Yep, 300-1010.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Make a motion that we approve, close the public hearing notice of intent, 300-1010.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
And I move that we approve the plan as submitted. Notice of intent. So, Becky, what kinds of numbers do you want to put on it after we get a second?
For conditions?
It's a notice of intent.
Right, so there's no numbers.
Yeah, there's no
There's no numbers, just the order of conditions.
Yeah.
And we barely have any conditions.
Other than the removal of the hay bale.
I'll second the motion to approve.
Discussion?
Yeah, so what are we gonna do with the straw wattles, the erosion controls?
We can write a condition if they are gonna work on that, outside area, that they do have some type of erosion controls in
Yep.
place up there. And we
And
can
the
just do
straw
wattles
wattles.
for that, but it doesn't sound like
But we haven't
they have to,
given, but
right?
we haven't
It's a
given them
cumulative.
approval to work out there. We're
Right.
not giving them approval to work out there. They
Okay,
haven't
well-
asked for it.
Well,
right?
it was mentioned at the site visit with the OFS people. They thought that maybe, but maybe they just didn't understand. So if they're not working up there,
They're
then
not
we don't
working
have
out
to.
there, we're not
Okay.
gonna give them approval, and we're not gonna require wattles.
Okay.
Okay,
That sounds good.
okay.
So that should probably be scrubbed from the plan.
Yeah, we'll put in the order of
I
conditions.
can write it, something in the
Yeah,
conditions, so he
okay.
doesn't have to revise it, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
All in favor? Thanks, Lenny.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lynn.
All right, we are now easily at 7:30.
See if we can find more projects where we learn something.
Notice of
Lenny.
intent, DEP number 300-1009, 186 Lake Road, Mark Smith and Barbara Veal Smith, represented by EBT Environmental Consultants, constructing a screened-in porch over an existing deck within the buffer zone.
Sorry, that was the,
What?
that was the representative for Heel that we already spoke about.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to let him know, he didn't have to stay.
Yeah.
Certificate of mailing for your,
Already got one in.
any legal ad.
Glenn, do you want me to pull up the overlay plan? Is that what?
Please. It might be busy as the first plan, we might,
We can go back and forth if you want.
sure. The applicant, unfortunately, they're in Oregon, he had business out there, and the engineer, if need be, it's just actually a survey.
Glenn, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Glenn Krawalski from EBT Environmental Consultants, thank you, representing the Smiths. Is it on? Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I can't hear it. So there is an existing deck, and the applicants are requesting to be able to screen in that deck. That's the full project. Thank you for that site inspection you had. Looking at the lot, there was a question as to whether or not in '95, when Mr. Jalbert originally proposed to tear down the cottage or the structure that was there in this rebuild, whether or not the deck was made larger than what was allowed at the time. Your bylaw came in '02. The house was constructed in '95, so there was not a bylaw at the time. There was a certificate of compliance issued in '98. We investigated with your building department to see if there was any building permits issued on the structure, to see if there was a change in that deck or a building permit. And there was no record of another building a permit issued on that structure. We have, we'll submit that into to the clerk for your.
What about the dock?
The dock, we understand, we can see that it moved. It's a little bit shorter than it was proposed, but my client just picked up the property 1 year and 5 months ago. They didn't do any work on the dock. So we're not sure about when that I'm aware of.
That dock will be there 26 years after the earth has self-destructed.
Yes.
I don't remember that dock ever coming before us.
It's not supposed to.
Well, it was,
Yes, it is, if it's on land the way this is.
Because it's anchored.
Oh, it is anchored on land.
well, but it was on this plan that came
Was it
with
on the plan?
95. Right, this is overlaid on that existing
This is the
plan that I
95
found
plan.
in the file. So the proposed dock was approved in 95.
Yep,
We
but-
issued a certificate in 98. And I don't know if
The proposed dock was right there,
yep.
and they have a dock folded up over here that I assume goes in the water, right here.
If it's a replaceable dock, but my
Right.
clients had no knowledge of any movement of the dock from the time they purchased it. Just over a year ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what the evidence looks like underneath it, whether or not it's brand new.
What?
I'm not sure if it looks new under the dock, whether that's germane at all. Obviously, if
It
there was
doesn't look like it was done in the last year. It's new. The poured cement is not old, if that's what your question is.
They've expressed to me, and they can be here or can make statements and send them, and we can have them for if
Yeah.
there is a continuation for what has occurred out there. They have no lawn in the area that we know
Now, the
of.
closed-in porch would be the second level? Well,
Yes,
go ahead
sir.
and finish
Yes,
your
sir. No,
presentation.
thank you for the questions. It would be the second level. It would be above. There's an example that they gave of what it would look like.
Yeah.
It's a similar, just a screened-in porch, as an example.
We saw it.
So their proposal, again, is to screen in the porch, and with the with the type of structure that it's made out of, it's not pressure-treated wood, there's not gaps between those plastic-made, recycled decking. And looking at the rain event yesterday, the water runs directly off of it. We had 1 inch in Oxford, and we were there, we looked at it, it was running off clearly. So we didn't feel there was an increase in impervious by screening in the deck. The applicant wanted to just run off the gutters into the crushed stone on the side. I'm sure I'm going to be hearing from the commission there is and we were insistent on doing something different. But there is also a field drain in the yard that some infiltration could also be had there. So I looked at what could be done there. I talked to the applicant, I talked to the engineer, and we felt that we could bring in more infiltration. Presently, as I talked to Rebecca, having no lawn, we felt that the nutrient issues were not there, but possibly the runoff issues were still be a question by the board.
Okay.
Rebecca?
Your question about the dock, I did go back when you were talking about going out to the site for the tree removal. I did go back and found in 2006 there was 2 pine trees in the front, different ones that you guys said could come down that have come down.
Yeah.
But there was some photos in the old file, and that dock is there. So that big dock was there in 2006, it appears. So that one was there, and there was an RDA for a geothermal well before too. So I think that dock was there then. I don't know when it might have
Yeah, that's
came in
very
before that or
possible, yeah.
not.
Thank you.
So thinking about the conversion of the porch, the deck, I mean, based off the description and in the filing, there's no new pilings or soil disturbance that are associated with the structure, so it's conversion of deck to a porch. They're gonna propose infiltration. It is within the 50-foot no new structures setback, so you'd have to take that into consideration. I think that, right, they should try to show some better infiltration for that, and then when we were at the site visit, there is it looked like all the roof runoff is going into a drain, but then we noticed it looks like that drain comes out into the lake, so there should be, could be maybe an improvement with that too. Let's see. So I think, provided they could do some infiltration, it's more of looking at our wetlands bylaw regulations and our 50-foot no new structures and how you feel about that. And I do have some photos if you want to see them.
Okay. David?
I don't even know where to begin. This is easily one of the most disturbing sites I've been on in years. Glenn, with your pointer, can you indicate where the high water mark might be on the lake for me, please? On the shoreline?
No, it wasn't part of my project to determine the high water because we were only up here doing work, so that was not something asked of me. If you need to know where the high water is, we'd have the engineer go out there, look at the 100-year floodplain, maybe the top of bank also, and come up with where is the high
Okay.
water.
Well, I would say that it's the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, normally it's going to be a vertical.
The problem I'm having with it is when we look at the edge of what is now the porch, it is just about out to that edge.
I would not argue that point, correct.
And I can honestly tell you that there is no conceivable way that that would have been approved by this board. That sucker is close enough to the edge so that you don't even have to dive very far from that porch and you're in the water.
We're looking at the overlay, that's why you asked for the overlay.
Yep.
And it had, I can see that there was some original structure that was out further and closer than what we are now. That's that area right here.
Yeah, so this is plan
This is a 95 plan, yeah.
is not a depiction of the plan as it is now.
Right, so I think this purple here.
Is that what you're saying, Glenn?
Purple is what was proposed.
What's out there now is,
This line.
Rebecca could go back to the original, the other plan without the overlay and maybe.
The original one,
Yeah,
or?
our plan. The plan we submitted. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yes, here's the patio block underneath what is presently the deck. And then if we could go back to the overlay. Thank you.
So you don't have the patio block on this,
Yeah, it's
There it is, it's right here.
That's it there.
That's this stuff. That's all that hash mark.
but the
that's in
deck
it.
goes out,
The deck
Right-
is
right-
this line. See this line that comes down, like right
That's correct.
here? And curves right there.
but to David's point, if I take the yellow from right there, and I go out to the wall,
the wall's even closer than that.
Oh, gosh, yes.
well, that's what I'm saying, it looks like this is supposed to be the wall, right?
No. The wall's even.
These aren't wall blocks?
No, that's the erosion controls.
That's the erosion
Right.
control for the project?
Our project
No,
is
that's
two
the wall.
walls paralleling each other. This survey was just done. So that wall is the wall of the lake. Water line 22818 is right up against the second retaining wall. That's a retaining wall, that's a second retaining wall. I believe Rebecca had a picture showing on the last Lenny
Yeah.
Jalbert shot
Yeah.
of what that looks like.
Yeah, I think I put it in the wrong folder.
Oh.
I have, these are pictures I took when I went out there when,
Right.
Yeah.
he originally called. Let's see. So, right, we have
That
a
wall,
wall here.
then inland, the second wall.
Well, we can stay with that picture right there to answer my question,
Back at
because,
that one.
Yeah, look at
this.
Right, go back.
This is over the patio.
Right, this is where the water line is along here, this wall.
There's a wall right here.
Holy
There's that wall right
smokes.
there.
Yeah, there's a bottom wall. This is
Oh,
all
okay.
crushed
So that was a
stone.
wall.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a wall here.
And then that's the second wall is right
But
there.
does the water come up here? We don't know, but it doesn't matter, it's
Well,
not that.
No,
much.
it doesn't matter.
The high water is 22818, was up against the inner wall, you see here.
But you can see why I'm disturbed. That deck already is far too close to the water.
Yeah, if you go back to the plans, this is the 25-foot buffer here into the house. So,
We purposely went in and looked to see if there was any building permits, not that that means anything, because somebody could build something without a building permit, or people get away with things.
Shocking though it may
Oh, I
sound.
know, it's happened. Yeah. So, but here we are, and we have no, all we have is the 95 plan,
Yep.
which does bring us out to this
Right there.
original limit.
Yep.
Right, and that's what, it appears that this was proposed deck, and this is the
Yeah.
footprint of the house. So it looks like that deck was approved then,
Yes.
that purple line. That's
Lenny Jalbert,
Yeah.
95 before bylaws. I mean, when you could build within feet of a wetland, then the state law still allows that, as we know.
Okay, so I don't beat a dead horse. There is no conceivable way that you can grow anything on that property.
He doesn't want to grow, well, he doesn't want to grow any grass.
Nothing grows through crushed stone.
And no nutrient and no pesticides go through crushed stone either, I mean. it's-
Well, I understand that part of it, but
So
holy
you want one
smokes.
better or the other? Is that what you're saying?
I think nutrient, no,
You're
because
gonna
the
feed
stone
your-
allows for infiltration.
I
And that
know.
infiltrates down through whatever's
Yep.
under there, eventually down to the
Oh, yeah.
groundwater table. And in fact, that stone is a better.
All right, I don't want this to, let's not have this digress,
Right.
okay?
No, what he's doing is using my argument against me, because for years Glenn has come in and I've said, we want more infiltration! And he's coming in and saying, but the whole property is infiltrating.
Well, except for that field drain, which is a direct shot, which I see
Right.
clearly can be a
That's a
leaching
problem.
pit and could be
Yeah.
revamped. And I talked to the engineer today, and that can go a long way. And I think if there was a question about the roof, that can be infiltrate, this roof on.
Well, I
the-
was going to go along with that. Why couldn't that drain be put into something like a rain garden so that there would be something green on the property?
Well,
Would he not like that?
I would take that suggestion and clearly bring it back to the client and insist that if that's what the board so chooses, if he wants his deck, I mean, I understand clearly we're not getting any closer with what we have. I also talked to the builder. There's no, the structure is, the stanchions now holding this up will not need to change, because I wanted to ensure that I was gonna touch any soil even down the road. Oh, sorry, we have to dig in the ground now because it's not strong enough. I had him go out and look at it, make sure that there was no soil alteration with what they're proposing, just to make that point, so that we weren't surprised down the road. Sometimes what you hear, sorry, I wrecked the roots
Yeah.
or something.
Glenn,
Whoops.
do you know if he was still proposing, when the carpenter first came in, he was talking about screening in the bottom portion too? Were they still proposing to do that, or is it just the top section?
No, as far as my client told me, it was just the top. I met with both the husband and wife. We went over it, and it was only the top.
Okay.
so it'd be a roof and screen walls
Yes, sir.
over there.
They're looking, just on the side notes, they're selling out of the West Coast, and they want to come here and live here. So this is what.
Where are they, in Oregon?
Oregon, and he's got offices in Michigan or something. This is going to be their home. So they just want to be able to, like most people, like everybody's asking for something of the commission, they're looking to use their deck and not have mosquitoes. And I guess they don't like citronella or something. Kidding.
I like that argument, Glenn.
David, do you need anything?
I'm just too stunned.
Come on, we gotta get this thing going here.
I don't know what to do with it. 'Cause obviously, I'm not happy with it, but I don't know what to do with it. It almost becomes an argument for why we really have to have an as-built after the fact before we give out a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, right, I agree.
Holy smokes. Becky, show the board again the picture that you have of the, no, not on the computer. The picture that you had in the folder of the front view of the house, please. Because I think that's a classic. That gives you a full view of exactly the proximity of the total structure to the water.
Find it here.
What's your objective?
Well, I want to see if, in fact, it looks like closing in that deck is going to add anything to the spill. Glenn already discussed it and said no. But it would seem to me that, is there a way of shunting that water off and making use of it somehow?
There can be a gutter around the edge, that you see the edge that on this one I show you here. Of course, we can gutter it and we can bring it off. I had initially wanted the engineers to look at that issue of infiltration. The client
Because-
felt that he thought he was in compliance with the town and not having lawns. So he felt that this is,
Yeah.
this, to him, it was most infiltration now. I see that there can be more infiltration.
And I agree. I think more infiltration could be done. With that structure, one of the things you could do is guide the water into some sort of vessel.
Are they gonna have to expand the upper porch out in order to create a roof for the middle porch?
Out. There will be no expansion of the upper roof.
There isn't, then you're not gonna, how are you gonna put a roof on this?
I think the roof is gonna come off of that, and he talked about rubber maybe on the decking, or originally when the carpenter came in and was discussing with me back in the fall, was maybe, I think, rubber on that, so
Well,
water wouldn't leak through.
Rubber on the upper
Deck.
deck?
So water
But what
wouldn't.
is the engineer proposing to do?
well, we can easily, what I can get is the building design showing the utilization of the upper deck and how the roof will extend off of that wood structure that's up there.
Yeah, showing us the old.
Right,
picture
white
of
rubber
that.
roof, I think, was what was proposed up there, but we can get that clarification.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You know, I'm not at a point where I can approve this project without seeing exactly what I'm approving. And I'm not confident that I'll approve it even then.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with it, too. I'm looking at something that we wouldn't approve, that deck.
Yeah.
It's, the whole thing is within the 25-foot. I'm very seriously concerned about this drainage pipe that's coming out. I think it comes out right here. And also the boat ramp,
On this side.
yeah, this is, I didn't see a lot of evidence of debris in the lake here, but I did see some. So it looked like it has been washing down this ramp and, basically, so, if we had grass or we had some kind of plants or whatever, I understand it's a boat ramp, so you can't do that, but that would at least slow the water down and it would keep, the stuff from washing out. But, that was another issue that I had with this.
I think we've,
Well, Glenn, you can see
Got
how
some
there is some
notes here,
material
Len.
migration
Right.
going into the lake. Despite the fact that it's all gravel, it's still material migration, which represents filling of a wetland.
I suggest that we give you a continuation. Would you like a
I would
continuation?
accept that. We'll look at any diversion on, if there is such a thing that can divert some of the water directly away from the gravelled area, instead of going directly in the lake, which is that water and volume velocity, picking up, going down that ramp. Maybe there's a way to bring the water down without, and we've done it in other cases, without eroding.
And you can see material migration on the opposite side of the house, too.
We have an
with
appeal
this-
right now with DEP where that is the issue that we appealed, so. We'll-
Really?
Yeah, it's on, the judge has it now, we're waiting for the decision, but it's all a matter of stabilizing. Of course, in that other case, we don't want the gravels running in and it's a ramp and it's less.
Well, you can see where either the people or animals or maybe just Mother Nature
Yeah.
on the opposite side of the house has been driving the gravel further and further toward the pond. Going right down, because that's the steepest part of the slope, Glenn.
Look at both areas, but we have two retaining walls upgrading, so it's a matter of, is it, we'll look at the stability upgrading of the two walls on the north side of the house.
Do we need to vote on the continuation?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Glenn, you said you were going to look at infiltration.
Well, I'd
options
like to
again.
know that if the commission is keen on that I can go back to the client and the engineer, that's, we clearly want to see more infiltration, and how you attain that, well, that's our job to bring in as much as that will help you make a decision.
Also, I'd like to see the final plan of the house, how it's going to be
The design of the
constructed.
deck,
Yeah.
the roof,
Go right
the
in.
builder's design.
And I won't say I'm keen on it.
Yes. I got that. The builder's design on that,
Yeah.
on the roof.
Your
and-
subtlety is escaping you, Mr.
No, I
Goodwin.
just, you know.
And we have the field drain issue. And then the roof runoff to the south, which would be called for into the crushed stone and infiltrate. I'm looking at that location.
Okay, all in
And
favor of a
stability of the
continuation?
southern side.
Continuation?
Is 2 weeks enough?
Oh, yes.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Mazika, right? Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it, yep. Yep. You can come up. Yep, you're next. So this is 19 Old Hamilton Road, removal of 4 trees.
Oh, 4 trees.
You said you took some pictures, but I.
Oh, great. Yep, we can pass them out to them because 2 of them didn't get.
Property since 1999, and the trees are dying, and I was told if I wait too long, they won't be able to climb them, and then I'm gonna have to have a crane brought in to take them down, and they're saying it's $5 grand to take them down already.
Oh, sorry.
I personally don't wanna take the trees down, but. And this is the, looking from the house, that's the only one that has any foliage on it, but if you look up it straight, it's.
Okay.
Did you have a really bad adelgid problem, or did you have a really bad moth problem last year?
I think This, if you look at
Oh,
my, I was on
I'm
the.
supposed to be legit.
I was on the Cedar Lake Commission for 7-8 years. And so again, I'm cognizant of, don't let anything go in. At the end of every fall, at my end of the lake, you can walk across it. So I go out, I rake out all the leaves. And so I pay attention, when we had the problem with the Mass Pike where they had that levee break and they dumped in hundreds of yards of material. So again, I watch what's going on. I don't know if there's, 3 houses down that just sold, the yellow house in the Point.
Oh, yeah.
13? Is it 13?
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah. They had a whole bunch of voles, and for 3 to 5 years, he's been trying to kill these things, and he said they were destroying his lawn. Randy Daniels, right here, has a whole bunch of voles. And my next door neighbor said her mother's trees in Millbury got killed by voles. We had a ton but last year, to your point, we had, everybody had the moths.
Gypsy
Yeah.
moth,
But if you
yeah.
if you looked to the north of the Mass Pike, there's more. I mean, I don't want to take them down. The only reason I really want to take these down is I have kids and it's my yard. I mean, you look at some of these; those are widowmakers. They break off in a bad storm. Someone's going to get hurt. But there's more trees going towards the Pike on the waterfront that are pines that look like they're dying. So I don't know what's killing them, but it's the whole area.
Because those looked a lot worse to us when we went out than just woolly adelgid problems. Looked like something more serious had really.
And I don't know what, and again, like I said, I got a quote, I just got a quote yesterday, it's $5,000 to take them down. I don't want to spend $5,000 on trees.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. But I look at, and they said, if I wait too long, $5,000 is off the table and it's
Well-
going up from there, because they said then they're gonna have to they won't climb them.
Once the branches dry, they're
That's
too
it.
brittle.
They're done. So they said, you gotta get it, and you gotta get it quick. They said, and they said, this tree, 2 guys said, not arborists, but they've been cutting trees for 20 years. They said, that tree's dead. It's not gonna make it, because it's so defoliated.
Yeah, I actually was able to talk to our tree warden a little bit today about what's going on with pine trees, because we had a big pine tree, kind of looked like your large one that they took down the cemetery right here. He was saying that big pine trees with multi-trunks and branches, you can see like at the crotches where they meet, there's weak connections, and then that starts to deteriorate the tree. It makes it more susceptible to failure. And then you can see when pines have like those hooks and bends, that those are signs and issues that there's stress and something going on with the tree too. So I asked him to look at the photos I had, and he thought, definitely that big one, that one is
And
right.
that one has the most foliage out of all of them. The rest of them, if you
Yeah.
look at it, this one, there's nothing on it.
Yeah.
That tree's.
Yeah.
And he was saying with the white pines, a lot of them are getting diseased, and a lot of what's happened is that there's been the droughts for the past 3 years has weakened the
It's
trees.
weakened the trees.
And then that cumulative with like the gypsy moth has really damaged them and making them more susceptible to pests and disease and things too. So it's, unfortunately,
I told you,
it's more.
in the yard next to us, we'd approached the commission 8 years ago to take 2 buck pines, because years ago they had cleared out all the little spindly pines that were a windbreak, and I was concerned. And then it was a really big storm. I don't want my kids sleeping upstairs in their bedroom because they're 100-foot pine trees. If they fall, they're gonna come down. We were told we couldn't take it down. Last fall, it fell down, knocked out power for 10 hours, 75 people lost power. It was rotted, and when it fell down, the middle of the tree was dead.
Always dead.
It was gone. And so now, the problem is, there's one pine tree standing there in the middle of and it's starting to flourish, but now it's a sale. It's gonna be a problem in the future. If we get a bad storm, and that's not what we're talking about here, but I'm just saying, there's something that's killing the trees in that whole area.
One of our problems is that the science has proven that if you get a really serious moth attack one year, and you have a good cold winter the following year, a lot of the moth eggs don't survive, and so the second year the tree has a chance to come back. If you don't have that frost, if you don't have that cold, and the moths come back a second year, then the tree can really be in peril.
this winter. It was kind of a, if you look at February and January, it was.
We don't know yet, because we haven't seen any of the migration yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
What do we want to do about these 4 trees?
Well, one of the questions I had for you was, in looking at them, there's a cluster of them, and then there's the one that sits sort of outside of the reach.
That's this one right here.
And yes, it's the one that you pointed out that has the greatest amount of foliage on it.
And that's the one that has, that's right in the middle of the yard. And you look at all these widowmakers, those are the,
Yeah.
that's all the problem. And when you start talking about having someone go and take all those down, they're like, it's the same amount to take down the whole tree.
Actually, the pine tree that was here, Tom brought in the top needles were in better condition than the lower ones. The top of the tree actually looked healthier and had, it was fruiting, it had small pine cones on it. So he was kind of talking about how you
Jesus.
can kind of look at them, and sometimes that might not be an indicator.
But the 3 quotes that I have so far from tree guys, they're not gonna last, and if you don't take them down soon, I'm gonna have to get a crane in, the
You're in
price is
trouble.
gonna go, it's gonna go probably double. And I don't wanna spend $10,000, I got 2 kids in college.
How close are they to the house?
Oh, they're close.
And they're going to take them down?
They
They're
can-
going to take them down by
they can-
hand?
They can
They
climb
climb
them,
and
and
cut.
they can drop them into the lawn,
Yeah.
and then they're fine.
Well, what we saw when we went out on Tuesday didn't look good.
No, they're dead.
Well, let's make a decision then.
Take them down.
Take them down. I don't, you know.
Well, they
Do you know what a good salesperson he was?
But he does.
Either way,
I don't want you, listen, to be honest with you, I don't wanna take them out.
anyway.
we screwed up in the very beginning. Could you go back to the microphone and or use my microphone, but you have to introduce yourself? Our mistake.
Mike Mazeka, 19 Old Hamilton Road Extension.
And ma'am, you also, please?
That's the 3, that's the big one.
Thank you.
How close to the
Because
lake are they?
the general public doesn't know who you are.
What about
Replanting?
replanting?
Frankly, shrubs and bushes maybe, but not trees along that area.
Because it doesn't look like you have much, I mean, you don't have any understory there, so maybe that would be a good
Yeah, because
compromise.
that's a
is
3, that's 1.
Maybe some high bush blueberry or something, or,
The problem is that when you take them down, you're still gonna have the root structure in the ground. And so planting another tree there is just not gonna be a feasible way of getting anything to go.
right.
Yeah, some berry-bearing shrub of some kind.
Yeah,
Right, like when I was,
Which,
yeah.
we can give you a list of
Winterberry or
ideas
neat-
for them. And right, they would have to leave the stump and the roots to not impact the bank there, so, okay.
You can go to UMass Horticultural website, and there are lists of berry-bearing
Well, there's
plants.
blueberries, actually, right to the side of my dock,
Yeah.
they've been there for years, so I'll just, we can get some more blueberries and put those in.
Sure.
great.
And
Make
then,
sure that you buy high bush blueberries. There is a difference.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, no, we did have a guy that promised to plant 20 blueberry bushes for us. And we came out to look at the site. They were as big as they were ever going to get, man.
All right, we're going to move this along here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You will get a letter.
Okay.
yeah, I'll send you a letter.
Do you want to keep these, or?
No, you
Yeah,
can keep
keep them in the
them.
file, or,
Yeah.
They're for your history
yeah,
lesson
I'll
to
keep
your
them in the
kids.
file.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, you've been witnessing the fun. What the heck?
Come on up.
I have never seen Burton Engineering shy away from a fight. Now, come on.
Do you want to talk about the revised plan first that was submitted? and talk
Introduce
about the-
himself.
Yeah.
All right.
Frank Carey with Burton Engineering.
Al Dobson, 22 Cedar Lake Drive.
So yes, I guess there's a couple issues before us this evening. So one of them is what we consider a minor plan change on the retaining walls closest to the lake. So basically, there were some field adjustments to round off the walls, and Al and Jamie can speak better to those field adjustments and why they made those field adjustments. From an engineering perspective, I didn't feel it was changing, really altering anything as far as overall characteristics, so I didn't have an issue from it from an engineering perspective.
when Jamie first broached the idea of them being, because initially I think we were keeping the walls, and then they were just in such rough shape that they wanted to essentially replace in kind. So, if Al and Jamie want to kind of elaborate.
Hi, I'm Jamie Supernat, DPM Contracting.
The microphone is not for us, it's for the general public who's watching it on television.
Jamie
Why
Supernat,
don't you grab the
DPM
one out of the
Contracting.
stand, and then you can sit down.
Yeah, I'll go for that one, okay.
Grab it, no, grab it, pull it out.
What's that?
Pull the mic out.
I really don't go that far.
And then you can, and then you can sit down.
So, in the beginning, I was working with Glenn Goldman, and obviously, we knew that he was leaving at the end of the year. So when I was working, and he's been over here a few times with us. So, under our discussions as the preliminary checking the area, obviously he came there when we were doing our fences and our straw wattles and checked everything. He said everything was fine. So he told me, I said, when we looked at the walls that were there, as we were digging and removing the house that was originally there, we were noticing all the rock walls, obviously were homemade rock walls. All the mortar, everything was deteriorating on them, it was falling apart. So really trying to, with the original plan, of taking the walls and connecting them to the existing walls wasn't really gonna work. It was just a matter of just falling down and just letting go. So when I had talked to him about the new walls and putting some block walls up, which we use the uni-block system, he said he had no issues as long as I stayed back far enough from the water, which I did, obviously. So I mean, I didn't see any issues with that. But from what I'm hearing, he didn't document anything we talked about.
Why did they come before us for a plan in the first place?
What's that?
Why did they come before us for a plan in the first place?
Why did they come forward?
Yeah, if they're not going to execute the plan.
Well, no, we started executing the plan, but as we were working in the area, like I said, we.
So when you alter the plan, what do you do?
We go to the engineering, let them know.
You come back to us, right?
Right, and we
Well, I did, I
reached
pushed out the plan.
Right.
And like, I mean, I literally was here once a week. I always make sure, because I'm a very pretentious person. I always gotta make sure I'm doing right. So I called Glenn, and asked, can I do this? Am I allowed to do this? Would you allow me to do this? And which he told me was fine. And he's been over there probably maybe 5 or 6 times in the time I was working over there to look and check and everything was going on. The only issues he ever had in this whole project was in the front of the property, which is a town, obviously a town road there. I had built the dirt a little high around the trees when I was piling away, and he said, could you please remove the dirt away from the trees so the trunks don't rot out? Which is my stupidity, I should have caught on to that. So we removed right away, that's the only issues he ever gave us on the whole property. Everything else, he said everything was fine. I even went farther with all my silt fence, farther than I was supposed to go. I mean, try to go a little bit farther than anything we usually do, so.
Yeah, if at that time had Glenn indicated that we need to bring it in for a plan review, for a minor plan change, we would have.
Yeah, he never said anything about it, he just said add to it, make sure when you.
From an engineering standpoint, like I said, it's not a big deal to draw the line and say retaining wall. So
Okay.
it's not like it was a cost thing or a level of effort thing, we just, at that time, we weren't asked to do it. I would
Yeah,
have.
he did say, he did tell me to,
Pick it up on the
get it
as-built.
updated.
He said to pick it up on the as-built was, I believe, how it was left. So from my end of it, I didn't think I was doing anything plan-wise until we were gonna pick it up on the as-built.
I was
Then we
doing
figured
everything
the
as-built,
as-built, when we requested the certificate of compliance, we figured that would, that would be one of the requests of the commission, would be doing an as-built, make sure everything was, the setbacks from the they were supposed to be. So we just thought it was something that we pick up on the as-built. So it wasn't meant to be sneaky or to do something without approvals. Again, it was discussed with the agent, and it was, he had asked me the question, engineering-wise, were there any issues, and I didn't see any engineering issues with it, so.
Okay, well, let's go forward then.
Okay. So, the wall changed, and also another alteration were the stairs at the.
On the left side there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these stairs right here. So we initially had showed some stairs, I believe in this area here, but they were showing a little different configuration, and I'll let Jamie kind of elaborate on the configuration change.
Yeah, the original configuration, they were just supposed to go straight up, but if you go straight up, what happens is there's a bunch of tree roots. So I just stopped. As soon as we started seeing roots, we stopped and I filled in with some stone, and left the stairs, and just left it open. So we could make a decision on turning, obviously what they did now is turning to the right there on the sides. And that's where this, I believe around the time where Al had the conservation come over and look at the trees. And that's where it became an issue.
Right.
I know there was one root from the main tree in the front that was going across there, but that's where the house was. The original house was right up against those trees.
Right.
Which was, can I point
Yeah, you
here?
can see.
This original house part right here was actually up here. And that wall of the foundation, this tree was coming through the foundation. So we took that down, that was all existing, it was just a small,
Right,
nothing
yep.
big, no main roots. Because you've seen the tree over there, right? You guys been
Yeah,
over there?
yeah.
If that tree was gonna fall down, it would've fell down, because, that base of roots underneath is the only thing holding that tree up. That part of that wall that's like 5 feet there, 4.5 feet there, and if it was gonna go, it would've went already if we were having issues with it, so I didn't bother with, didn't touch it, because I was told not to mangle it with
Right.
it, or try to ruin it, so I stayed away from it. So when we took the walls down, I even left the walls away from the tree, so it was just left to itself. So this whole time, that tree's actually been living there with the original walls and everything, without anything even touching it. The tree roots were literally blown through the blocks of the house, of the original foundation.
Right.
So nobody was bothering, I just stayed away from it, we did our work, built the walls away from it. It became winter time, got close to the winter, it got to the point where I was like, we'll leave the landscape alone, and we'll just keep working on the house, and then springtime comes, we'll get back to it. So we just stayed away from the whole area.
Okay.
Didn't try to hurt the tree in any ways, I was told right in the beginning, from Burton Engineering, that tree was to be saved. So, I've had Tom Chamberlain over there, he's had multiple arborists over there looking to make sure that everything was good, and everybody said everything was fine with it.
Now, it's been backfilled now?
Yes.
Everything's backfilled
Yep.
all the way.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That's a major step. 6 months to fill in a hole.
That was a
Well,
successful.
I think it's only been a little over 2 months since we originally went out there. I think it was like January.
And it had been open for a while before then.
Not really, no. There was a wall originally there. We took the house down, it was open, but Glenn's been there 5 times since the house has been down, and seen that, and never said anything to me. Like I said, the only issues he gave me was in the front of the house, well, towards the road of the house, which would be the back of the house,
Right.
was about the trees.
Let's go forward from there.
Yep.
So is the proposed change of the stairs going in the footprint where the house was? Are you guys,
Right here, you mean?
yep. Are you
There's no
okay?
roots in that area, because that's where actually our drain is coming through, that comes into the wall from the house perimeter drain. There's no
Right
roots
here?
other than to the left side, or right side of that wall of those stairs. You'll see a couple of roots, but there's no major, huge roots, just one root that runs across. I'm sure that's what you seen the day you guys went over there.
Yeah.
There were a couple smaller roots, like close to the house, but that was from old shrubbery that was there before.
All right. Any comment?
Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so this is the tree that we wanted saved.
Right.
Yep.
Right? And that's the tree that we're being told has been so severely compromised that it's got to come down.
Well, can I say something too with that? In the springtime,
You gotta use the mic, though.
oh, sorry, when Tom Chapin, do I want me to carry it, or?
That's why we want to carry it. Sit
So,
down.
right at the beginning of the year, we did think the tree was dying, because we had real high, we were talking about moths earlier. It was really bad over there, like, they were eating every leaf possible. So we thought the tree was to the point where like, oh, it must be dying. Only 2 weeks later, it sprouted again. And we actually got pictures of it. So, it's still a healthy tree. We obviously had some really crazy winds and storms in the last month. And if the tree was unhealthy, if it was gonna go, I believe it would go by now.
A lot of them have, that's for damn sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot, you look all around Massachusetts, I drive from here to Cohasset pretty much every day. And there's trees down everywhere that are twice the size of this thing, and this thing is still,
Well,
Yeah,
we
we
saw
didn't
the
get
root
as bad out
structure
here.
when it
Glasses
was
for
open.
us. Yeah.
it's bad right now.
The root structure when it was open looked very, very good.
They look good, yeah. But like I'm saying, also, dude, you got that 5 feet of that dirt where that wall was? That tree must be so far embedded in roots and so low below that, that's the only thing that's holding it up is the lower roots. Those upper roots are doing nothing. They're not even,
Yeah.
It certainly never suffers for lack of water.
this is true. And the water is 2 feet below the house grade now, like if you go in the back, we got about 2 feet depth before for the lake water. It's because we had to dig in there and dig down and put the foundation in there and go actually a lot farther so we could have a support. So it's it's the water, the sand is so pervious over there, the dirt,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even need the drainage, water doesn't even sit in the lot, it just goes right down.
All right, so let me be clear here. This tree is not going to be, they're not asking for this to come down, then?
I am not, I just want this.
Yeah.
We're not asking for that tree to come
And
down.
what about this tree? The one that's hanging?
Neither tree we're looking to have removed at this time, though.
Okay. I mean, because that was that was going back to the very beginning, that was the concern.
I mean, that is, it's a beautiful tree.
It's the only large tree left on,
It's just-
anywhere near there.
It is, it was a concern with the neighbor, Tremblay, about the branches that overhang on the side, and then I did have it pruned right away. But you only can prune so much off a tree.
Did you prune some of that?
The big tree I had a company come in and prune. 'Cause
How
I
about the
was- I
little
was
one?
low to it.
How about the little,
This one?
I don't
because the
remember
little
anything
one's like
with
going towards the sun.
I don't think we did anything with the little one, it was more with the big one. You could see the ones that we
Yeah.
had pruned on that one. I had a guy climb and he pruned it. And we did prune, there's another tree on this side over here in the back.
Yeah.
That we had pruned because it had a lot of dead limbs on it. And that's what Thomas Chamberlain was there and told us, please have these ones and these ones removed.
Yeah.
So you're asking for approval to put in these steps,
Yeah,
which
this
weren't
one.
on the original plan?
Yeah.
And this wall is more or less what was there originally, except for this part
Yeah,
here?
it came around, but square. It didn't come around.
Right.
We just rounded it off.
And the rest of this is your planning plan or what's going to stay?
Yeah, it's what's there, it's pretty much what's there now.
Yeah. Mr.
Right,
B?
yeah, some of these are
Yeah.
proposed, these are all proposed.
Yeah. Now, am I confusing two sites here? Do they have a forked tree in this area here that was leaning over?
This one is the one that's.
No, that's the one that
kind of
leans towards the house. I'm not,
There was a triple, there was like a forked tree over
Yeah.
on this
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
That got cut down.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
okay,
That was a really
Yeah.
big tree, actually.
yeah, I thought it should have been.
I mean, judging by that root system too, that one, I mean, that whole site's like
Okay.
feet deep, and we had to pull those roots out of that one. That was a big one, so that's what I'm saying, this one over here, I mean, they're embedded pretty well.
Becky?
So, right, well, I don't see an
Finally,
issue with the modifications here. I think that it makes sense instead of going up further. I don't know how much further you'd have to go out, but this trench was where the existing house was,
That
so.
wall's right
I
at
think
those
that,
roots.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that it makes sense to have the stairs go that way. I think maybe, it's shown as only a couple on the previous plan, I thought, like,
Right.
which wouldn't really make sense. It would have had to go further up anyways, I think. So I think that this makes sense versus going out. So I don't think that
Yeah,
I don't
if we
think
go
there's a
out,
problem with that.
yeah, we'll get-
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, David?
no subject matter.
What?
I have no subject to concern me on this project.
Okay.
I mean, I wonder, can you say that?
It is being recorded.
You will rarely ever hear that from me. Frank, you know better, buddy.
Yeah, so I mean, this was the site that back in January, we decided that these roots were exposed.
Yep.
And they were supposed to be covered.
Yep.
Right.
You went out the next day, talked about it, and then it seemed like a month later, they were still exposed.
A couple months, yeah.
Right,
No,
right. Well, I thought we
She told
could,
me it was about a month and a week, and that's right around time where we were getting storm after storm, and she asked me to put soil in there.
Yeah,
And really, I mean, I hope you guys know at this time of year, to even get a decent soil would have been just mud. So to fill up those walls and those roofs, I have to, a foot of drainage stone, and then I have to have my fill, and then I have to have soil on top. So if I was to put stuff behind that wall, and I know that the tree's very important, if I put that soil behind that wall, it would have blown my wall out, and I would have been totally rebuilding the whole wall. And it's not, I mean, you can see the size of it, it's not a really cheap wall. It's not a place where we want to spend a lot of money, which I know, I fully understand you guys want the tree. I know you guys see,
See, what, the owner agreed to do that.
yeah, and we did, and I discussed back and forth with Becky. We
The
talked,
owner agreed to do it right away.
But there was not discussed with me. I don't
The
know.
owner is answering to us. You're answering to the owner.
Oh, which I understand.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like,
Full
what,
contract, it's-
the fact, nobody said, we can't put that in there because it's gonna blow out the wall. Nobody said those words.
Well, I've spoken with Becky, a lot about that whole area.
Yeah, well, it has to be with the commission.
Well, I understand that, I did
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
I would, if I knew that, I would
Yep.
have gave him this.
Anything further? No. All in favor of approving the plan as? Anybody in the audience want to speak? No? We don't have a public, this is just a small change.
Without having the other two people here, it makes it really, really hard to object to the project,
Right.
because the owner screwed up on this one. The owner did not get done what the commission wanted to get done in anywhere near a timely fashion. That's not just disturbing, that's discouraging. You live on a lake, we expect you to protect the lake. We indicated one of the ways to protect the lake, and we were ignored for a month, or a month and a half.
I wouldn't say you were ignored.
Well,
Yeah, we did have
I
discussions.
can have all the conversations in the world, if the work doesn't get done, what good was the conversation?
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you gotta come on.
No.
Please work.
No.
on this.
Words,
I mean, the ground's-
you know what means something to you? A shovel in the ground means something to you. You know what means something to me? A shovel in the ground. We can have all the words we want to have, but the words don't mean a thing until that shovel gets put in the ground and the soil is covering the damn roots.
Let's.
Because it was
Dave,
freezing
come.
out.
Let's cut it back, okay? Cut it back. We're either gonna, everybody, all those in favor of the new plan as it's
Well, wait a minute, what do we got? We got a minor variation?
minor
the
variation,
stairs.
yeah.
Yeah, basically just these stairs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yep.
it, right?
All in favor?
Are you for it or not? Did
I
you
put
vote?
my hand up.
Oh, okay, I thought you just. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yep,
Have a nice night. Thank you.
yep, take care. Yep.
Bye.
What's next?
That's it.
That's it.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to adjourn?
Before you do that,
Before you do that,
where do we stand on our new, where do we stand on our new town bylaws?
The regulations?
Regulations.
We're still waiting to hear from town council. I had
And-
Leon email him and ask him to get back to us. We don't have anything from them yet. Anne's worked, she's got a pretty clean copy, so we're just pretty much waiting for those comments, and then we can move forward. So I can email him again for a fourth time and try to get some
Who? Copeland
KP
and
law.
Page?
Yeah,
Call them.
okay.
Well, we need to have an answer on it. Well, you know, otherwise, at the next meeting, we're gonna move forward without Copeland and Page. We won't put in the stuff that they're supposed to approve. We can just leave it out of the bylaw, but we gotta have a bylaw.
yeah, we gotta have an updated bylaw.
Yeah.
Regulations.
Regulations. not bylaws.
Regulations, yeah.
And the second item,
Go.
I would like to request that the chairman have a conversation with the town administrator and request that the town administrator reinvigorate his sources relative to getting associate members on this committee. We have two people not here tonight. We've had one missing frequently over the last 6 months. Not the same persons, but we need to have the gap filled. And as was pointed out by the chair at an earlier meeting, the average age on the commission is over 70. We need to have people, I'm sorry,
Over
but,
70?
Steve wasn't here that night.
no, but Rebecca's getting there too.
If you put our ages together, maybe.
Both of you at the same time.
I will speak to him about
But
it.
we really need to have that conversation, because I think that it's being left in the wayside, and we know that it takes 6 or 8 months of a person sitting there as an associate, listening to the arguments and contributing to the discussions before they're anywhere near ready to drop into place. And we really need to have that filled.
Absolutely, but you know, as the bylaw stands, that there would be someone, if they had been appointed yesterday, they would be sitting over there. Two
Correct.
spots. it's not like a training period, because if somebody's not here, they fill in.
That's how the bylaw reads.
It is. Okay, but I will. Yeah, that's a good idea.
You want to say something?
I'd like to say something. So the Sturbridge Open Space and Recreation Public Forum is on April 11th at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, I believe, or 6:30 at the Public House. There will be refreshments, so we hope a lot of people join us.
I'm already signed up.
And me too.
My wife and I are having a date.
All right, now I make a motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
All in